that PPP, you done a lot of talking, not a lot to see. Up in the millions like 2.3, but you off, got it all, getting off scot-free. Try to talk tips like we're talking about stock, but you're talking about men printed on card stock. When you open your mouth, I take it with a grain of salt. Cause the market's down and you're down, it's all false. You're ruining the hobby I love with the bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You're ruining the hobby I love with your bullshit. Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. Did you dip me out? I think you dipped you out. What you talking about? I don't think you did, deal. It's just a shake shit like a G.O.B.'s, like it's wholesale thing with the mid-empties. Taking money from the people that pay most them are broke, but that's okay. He's getting money, even better tax-free, loving all the stimulus, the PPP. You ruin the hobby I love with your bullshit, Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruin the hobby I love with your bullshit, Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson. What's going on with that PPP? You done a lot of talking, not a lot to see. Up in the millions like 2.3, but you off, got it all, getting off scot-free. Try to talk tips like we're talking about stock, but you're talking about men printed on card stock. When you open your mouth, I take it with a grain of salt. Cause the market's down and you're down, it's all false. You're ruining the hobby I love with the bullshit, Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruin the hobby I love with your bullshit, Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. Did you dip me out? I think you dipped you out. What you talking about? I don't think you did, deal. It's just a shake shit like a G.O.B.'s, like it's wholesale thing with the mid-empties. Taking money from the people that pay most them are broke, but that's okay. He's getting money, even better tax-free, loving all the stimulus, the PPP. You ruin the hobby I love with your bullshit, Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. You ruin the hobby I love with your bullshit, Jeff Wilson, Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson.
What is going on, everybody? Hopefully, you guys are doing well out there. That is right. It is another Thursday night here, coast to coast, here on Sports Card Radio. It is 8:34 p.m. on the East Coast, and it is now 5:34 on the best coast out here on the West. We've got a packed house and a packed topic book, so I won't go on a 5-minute intro here, because we've got a lot to talk about. Looks like Ryan's bidding on some cards as well. Saw some people upset with Golden this week. Looks like maybe some guy sold a card and he's not getting paid for a couple of weeks. Looks like the marketplace is getting transitioned over to eBay, so maybe we'll have to talk about some of that stuff. But we've got a lot of drama, if you will, in the hobby. A lot of drama to take over and talk about as we roll into what I would consider the prime time of the collecting season. We're moving into May, June, July as you start to wind down the NBA season. MLB season starts to crank up, and then we all get hyped for the football season, no matter what our team is involved in. And obviously we move into some big events as we move into the month of August. You've got the National, you got Fanatics Fest, and then you've got the Burbank Card Show. And we're going to be going to 2 out of 3 of those events unless for some reason Cleveland turns into Bel Air, which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon. Speaking of Bel Air, we are joined by none other than Ryan, but we've also have super producer Kim in the background, who's probably off banging, 3 MILFs and a 20-year-old. Ryan, how we doing tonight?
Man, Tim gonna need his own TV show here pretty soon on Sports Card Radio. That's what I was thinking about the other day. I was like, we should just cameras rolling around Tim and as he's perusing Ukrainian women. So that's kind of where I'm at. You can see where my life is. I'm looking. Yeah, exactly. I'm looking at these 30 Ryan Leaf San Diego Chargers jerseys. These are like retro, man. These got to be worth more than $5 each. Like, come on, what are we talking about here? So we'll keep an eye on a plethora of items. The person who had these, Anthony Edwards, 19 different freaking signatures. Got the 1-1, got the 1-8, got the 1-10, $10,000. So we'll see where this one ends up. They lost last night to everybody's favorite player, Luka. How do you say his name? Luka Doncic.
Doncic.
Excuse me. Doncic. If the Mavericks win the title, we might have to go live that night as like a
cards will go down. His cards will go down.
Everybody else will. Everybody is seeing like they haven't budged in. Let's check on the last 3 months. They've gone up 0.35%. So not even to beat selling fees in the last 3 months. 6 months, they're down 4%.
Wow.
So Kyrie Irving's cards have popped way more than Luka Doncic cards. And Anthony Edwards cards, the interesting guy, we've got a lot to talk about. Here I am talking about card prices. Got a lot of drama to talk about. The interesting one is Anthony Edwards. Wow. You see this rate of growth in the last 6 months, but I think the interesting one is, I think it's the 2-year chart where it's still down.
Oh my God.
If you correctly predicted that Anthony Edwards would, go on a really nice playoff run in a year or two, you're still down 6%. So that to me is the fun one. This is way after the little boom. This is August, September of 2022, October 2022. You'd still be, looks like if you bought September 18th, you'd still be down on your Anthony Edwards cards, even though he's had a historic little pop here in the last 61% in the last year.
Yeah,
so he's the new
on my GOAT list now.
He's on your GOAT list. So there you go. People have been frantically buying his cards. So we will see what happens in the remainder of the playoffs. But we've got a ton of topics on today's show. We got Jab's family. Interesting thing with a repack that he bought the other day and that he auctioned off. So he went to a card show, bought a repack, very expensive actually, and then auctioned it off. But there's kind of an interesting story behind it, and we're going to kind of play fair or foul there. We have an update on a story. Oh my God. It's always fun watching your old videos. January 9th, 2023, there was a video about Mr. Prizm Gawd and some stolen cards. Well, we have a huge update. I believe AIH Sports is going to call in. And so after we talk about Jab's family, AIH, if you're listening, you can call in and I'll try to set up this Prizm Gawd story because AIH has an update on this particular story. So we're excited to talk about that. And of course, we are going to talk about Backyard Breaks, their employee who was recently fired for allegedly taking kickbacks. He was a buyer for their repack products. He reached out. His name is Ethan. He contacted Sports Card Radio, and me and Ethan have had quite a long dialogue over text over the last couple of days, and we can get into all of that. And we had a few things, though, I wanted to talk about besides these Ryan Leaf jerseys. This is what I'm most excited about. Easy sell right there. Before we get into all of that, there's a lot of people who say that sports card radio is negative, and they might have a valid point there. There's also some that say we don't benefit the hobby, or we, blah, blah, blah. We're not good for the hobby. Some of those people have only watched our videos about Jeff Wilson, and they haven't been around as long as Val Mars, who is the host of NASCAR Radio and has an extensive NASCAR collection. I think I met him at one of these nationals. It might have been 10 years ago. Well, Colin, I don't know if you saw this email, but he said many years ago, probably a decade ago, he was listening to Sports Card Radio, so one of your podcasts, and you mentioned how you probably were going on a tangent about golf, and you mentioned how, women golfers should, there's not a lot of women golfers, and it's a good way to get a scholarship. Well, Val heard this, got his then young daughter into golf, and then his daughter, Bella, literally just got a golf scholarship for college. So, hey, we may be not very good for the hobby, but I think you'd be hard pressed to say that for Val and Bella, Sports Card Radio might have been very good for them, because I don't know what college costs these days. It's probably pretty expensive no matter where you're going. And Bella is going, she got a scholarship to play golf in college. What do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, look, I wish I could sit here and take credit for Bella's hard work and Val's, excellent parenting skills. I'm grateful that he remembers that podcast, remembers that story, which I remember very well. It's usually in reference to Tiger Woods. I was walking to go play golf one day. This was like before Tiger Woods was really a household name, before the 1997 Masters. And there was some baseball players out there. And they were looking at me, and I was just a young, skinny guy at the time. And they said, "Oh, why are you playing a pussy sport like golf? Come play baseball." And immediately what went through my mind is, these guys are out there in these tight ass pants with a bunch of men. I was going to go to the golf course where there might actually be a cute girl or two. I didn't say anything. I just kind of walked by. And then a year or two later, Tiger Woods becomes probably the most popular athlete in the world. And all of the baseball players and all the people on baseball team wants to come out and try out for golf, because you practice 4 days a week. It was 9 holes. You got Fridays off. You got Tuesdays. If you weren't on the playing team, you actually got Tuesdays and Thursdays off. So it was one of the cushiest sports you could play. So, hey, I congratulate Bella. She must have really worked hard on her game. And Val must have put some time and effort into getting to the golf course, clubs, and all that stuff. It's certainly not a cheap sport. And so that's cool. Hopefully we can stay up on her progress. And I don't know if she ever makes it out here to the West Coast, but if she ever makes it out to a West Coast golf tournament, that'd be really cool. And Stanford just won its second national championship, I think, in a row for the women's, and I know one of the girls on that team. So women's golf probably going to come up just like women's basketball here in the coming years. So because the men's game, just like the NBA, is completely floundering, and eventually I think women's golf will become real popular once you get enough interest and TV time on it. So, hey, that's awesome. And I mean, I'm proud of Val, and congratulations to his daughter, and I'm happy for them.
Pretty awesome. So yeah, we definitely wish her luck. Mr. AIH Sports is in the house.
Hey, what's going on?
How are we feeling, brother?
Good. What's going on with you two?
We are just over here bullshitting about cards, and you have a tremendous update to a story on Mr. Prizm Gawd. If you give me just 2 seconds, let me just remind everybody what happened here before we get into your update. A long time ago, about the time when Colin was talking about golf on a podcast, literally in 2014, you probably can't see it, but the date of this forum thread is 10 years ago. A guy by the name of Enrico, I believe, got a bunch of nice, exquisite cards, Upper Deck exquisite basketball cards primarily. They were like kind of lost or stolen in the mail. And he kept a really good list of those things. And he went to the Blowout Forum 10 years ago to try to get some help recovering these cards. Well, we all know what has happened in the last 10 years. Some of these cards were expensive in 2014, and they're literally, astronomically priced in these days. And so what happened is it looks like maybe there was like a government auction or some kind of weird thing where these cards actually were recovered by the Postal Service, got out into the wild. And this particular card, one of them, there were tons of cards that were lost and or stolen. This particular Michael Jordan card, I believe, was like about a $60,000 card a few years ago. And it ended up in the hands of the notorious Prizm Gawd, aka the guy who runs the Culture Collision card show in Atlanta. Well, because of Instagram and kind of the flex culture of today, these guys buy these cards and they go on and flex them, honestly, and they flex them on Instagram. And what happened actually with this particular Jordan card is, sorry for the small picture, but this was a thing back in the COVID boom. You buy an expensive card like this, and then you go to like a card show, or you go to this guy Investacard and get a loan based on the value of your card. So you'd get a loan. So Prizm Gawd bought this card. I think AIH might know, but 65 grand. He then takes it, gets a loan via Investacard. Enrico sees all this stuff, presumably maybe on social media, and is like, hey, that's my Jordan card from 10 years ago. Like, what the heck? One of the good guys in the hobby, David Kahana, kind of took up this case and tried to maybe work on getting some of these cards back, or getting even just a little restitution for Enrico. Enrico didn't want $60,000 for this card. And I think AIH might know how much he got. He really just wanted a little bit of restitution for people who own these cards. And some people were doing that. Some people were sending, $500, $1,000, just to basically, so that there was no hassle and they were kind of released from the responsibility of essentially owning stolen property. So Prizm Gawd purchased this Michael Jordan card quite a long time ago, got a loan for it. And David Kahana has kind of been after this Jordan card and others for quite a while. Well, apparently, and this was from a AIH sports video just a couple days ago, apparently Prizm Gawd went to the Dallas card show to try to sell the Michael Jordan card. And I'm going to let AIH kind of take over here and tell this story. And then AIH even had an interaction with Mr. Prizm Gawd as well. And so I want to get into that as well. But so take us through this story now. Prizm Gawd has this card. He takes it to the Dallas card show. And what exactly happens?
So allegedly what happened through David Kahana and the information provided to me from him and other resources, what happened was he went to the Dallas card show and he allegedly, it wasn't sell, I did say sell in the video, but with a 20-some-year-old, he allegedly attempted to trade this with this 20-some-year-old kid. And what ended up happening was this 20-some-year-old kid, he took the card and he was assured that this card has been cleared with Enrico. And then what ended up happening was this kid calls up Enrico and Enrico says, no, this card has not been cleared. So putting everything together, this is obviously a stolen card at that time. And if you're trying to trade it off and you're giving to somebody else, then it's the game of musical chairs. At that moment, you wouldn't have to deal with paying Enrico off. So that was just shady as hell. And then what ended up happening was David Kahana just got pissed off at the Dallas card show guy. I think the guy's name is Kyle. And he also ended up having a conversation with a few other individuals, including that 20-some-year-old kid. I'm not going to mention that guy's name. And ultimately, the card then was returned to Prizm Gawd. And then David Kahana basically was not threatening, but he did get really pissed at the Dallas Card Show. And the Dallas Card Show guy said, hey, look, there's this hobby insider. I'm not going to reveal this guy's name. He asked me not to reveal the guy's name, but he's worked at multiple auction houses. And on top of it, he's right now working at a manufacturer. And this guy ended up paying, it went to David Kahana for $15K. David Kahana sent $11K to Enrico in Italy to settle this. So technically right now, Prizm Gawd is cleared of not having to pay Enrico, but now he's going to have to pay up this hobby insider who paid on behalf of him. So ultimately, I don't think this would have been resolved, but it got resolved because David Kahana, kudos to him, because he threw a fit and he was going to, make the Dallas Card Show look bad, saying, hey, look, you got this hobby influencer allegedly trying to trade off this one card that is stolen property. Not a good look for you. And this has been going on for the past year and a half. And it finally got settled, but it wasn't Prizm Gawd that made the payment. It was actually a hobby insider.
I see. So somebody on the behalf of Prizm Gawd paid what, like you said,
15 grand, and then 11 grand went to Enrico.
Oh, okay. So maybe Prizm Gawd owed somebody some free tables for the next decade, maybe to the Culture Collision. But what did Prizm Gawd reach out to you? How did you end up having a conversation? I guess after all this happened with Prizm Gawd.
Yeah. So David Kahana was blowing up my phone this weekend, and he told me this story, and I was shocked. I didn't believe it. I found it to be really weird. Like, why would you attempt to trade off this card and then not having to deal with the legal ramifications of it? And then on top of it, allegedly telling the 20-some-year-old that, hey, look, this is been cleared with Enrico. I found that insane. So I reached out to Prizm Gawd. I was hoping that this story was not true. And then when I had the conversation with him, he just said that, hey, look, he made a bunch of weird comments in that phone call. And then he first asked, who are you? Who are you? Twice. And I was kind of shocked when he asked me that, because he's like,
Prizm Gawd is asking you who you are. He
asked me. Yeah. And then I said, politely, I said, I'm AIH Sports. I have a YouTube channel. And then he says, what do? You just do news? And I was thinking in my head, I was surprised because he did like one of my posts from my memory where I was actually bashing the great curator. And it was regarding, that fake skit that he did, where I think Prizm Gawd was in, by the way. So that was just weird. And then he asked me, who are you? It wasn't like a nice tone or anything like that. And then in that conversation, what became even weird was, what do you want? I said, I'm asking about that stolen card situation. And did you sell that card to the kid? And then he said, like, well, would you ask somebody about someone's dead mother? And I was shocked. I was thinking to myself, how could you compare a stolen sports card to someone's dead mother? And I asked him that, like, how can you compare it to someone's dead mother? And then he said, well, it is. And I just found that really weird. And then he just went off saying that, you should be focusing on more positivity rather than negativity and blah, 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 blah. And, we've heard this same nonsense from Jeff Wilson, great curator, and the Go Along, Get Along gang. It's all about hobby positivity and all that nonsense. So that was weird in the call. And then he says, when's the next time you're going to go to a show? What show are you going to go to? It wasn't a polite conversation. I said that I'm not going to go to the Dallas Card Show where you're going to go. And they said, what show are you going to go to? Are you going to show me that type of energy when you go to a show? Are you going to approach me like that? And that was weird, because I was asking about a stolen card, and now it's all about what show are you going to go to? This topic is about someone's dead mother rather than a sports card. So I just found that really strange and awkward. Rather than answer the questions or say, hey, look, this issue has been resolved. I'm good with Enrico. Have a nice day. If he said something like that, I'm like, okay. But his reaction was weird. And I remember dealing with card porn, where I was putting card porn on blast over and over again on IG and my YouTube channel. And then he had a weird post about me indirectly. And I had 1,000 subs on IG, and he had 70,000 subs. So it just seemed really weird, his reaction, rather than answering the question. Then I did a reel today on Instagram, and he posted something about, you should talk about more positive content. You should be part of the solution and all that nonsense. And I've heard this same type of nonsense from EFIS Pitch, all the positivity crew, even though all of us helped this one individual get reimbursed $17,500 from Juan Garcia to a guy that he scammed. But I guess that's not part of the solution. I guess not getting rid of an auction on Golden that you guys covered, the SI for Kids, Sports Illustrated. You got rid of a trim card on Golden auctions, but I guess I'm not part of the solution. So it is what it is, because I'm not positive.
Where did things end off with you and our boy Prizm Gawd? Are you, is there still a beef? Did he invite you to the Culture Collision? I mean, he has a card show. He could just fly you out there and invite you to his own show, I guess, if he really wanted to see you. But where did kind of things, did you guys end the conversation cordially? Did he hang up on you? What was the deal
and then
there?
he was explained to me, like, who are you and what are you doing? And, you should focus more about positivity and positivity rather than being negative. And then I was explaining to him that, hey, look, this is what I do on my channel. I call out the fraud the way that I see it. And, I explained to him the situation with card porn. And then I realized that he had hung up on me. So
wow,
that was weird.
So that's that. Wow. So apparently, if you ever do see Mr. Prizm Gawd at a card show, maybe we need some security. Maybe we need some Sports Card Radio security guards around you to protect AIH Sports.
Yeah, it was weird. And what are you saying?
Oh,
no. So Kellen was saying something. No.
Bottom line on this card, it looks like Prizm Gawd went to the Dallas card show, tried to trade it off. The person that he was trying to trade the card to had heard about the story through one way or another, alerted Enrico, the person who technically owned this card 10 years ago, and Prizm Gawd, through somebody else, paid apparently $15,000 to basically release the rights from this card. Is that kind of the, and now Prizm Gawd is mad at you for covering it, apparently.
Yeah, because I'm being negative, and he's also saying that me being a minority should not be covering this, basically, and that's not coming with the solution or something like that. I don't know. It was weird interaction rather than answer the questions.
Since he hung up on you, and maybe he's one of the people watching, would you have anything to say to Prizm Gawd? If anything to say to him?
Just clear up what happened that weekend. And then the weird part about this is, I think in the comment section, also in one of his posts, he said that this card is considered lost, not stolen. But I'm thinking, okay, if you just go back to 10 years ago, there was that group submitter, his name is Sorab or whatever his name is. He sent the cards to Enrico. A lot of them got lost in the mail. And then what ended up happening was they went to the auction, USPS auction or government auction. That had to be taken off because of the police report. And there are 5 or 6 cards. And then there was that one card, or he bought a few cards. One of them is the Michael Jordan nameplate card. That was the one that's released now. But anyways, that card eventually goes to a card show. And in that card show, that person had to find that card some way, shape, or form. So that person who sold the card to Prizm Gawd, that is technically a stolen card. That's stolen property. So I don't understand why he's saying that's a card that's lost. That doesn't make any sense to me, unless he has some other rationale. I think that's what he's going to do. I think he's going to have a podcast in a few weeks with Enrico and other people and saying that that card is lost. But if you look at it, he was in possession of stolen property. Now it's no longer stolen property, but at the time it was, based on my opinion.
Right. And the thing I question about Prizm Gawd is hey, maybe you end up with a card that was stolen or whatever, and that from 10 years ago, and you have no idea. That's going to happen actually to a lot of dealers if you're dealing in these high-end cards. But the problem is that Prizm Gawd knew about this situation, and then he goes to the recent Dallas card show to try to off the card. Like, he knows it's quote lost or stolen. Then he walks into the Dallas. He knows who it belongs to as well. Like, he knows full well this is an old story. Here's in a video that I did, whatever, a year and a half ago. This is an old story. And then Prizm Gawd decides to walk into the most recent Dallas card show, which I believe was last weekend, to try to off this card. So I get why maybe he was a little defensive with you on the phone, because that kind of looks shady. It's one thing to try to sell this car and you had no idea that there had this history about it. No idea that Enrico had made this post from 10 years ago. But Prizm Gawd knows this card is quote lost or stolen. Then he still tried to go off of it. He still tried to go sell it or trade it. Puts this guy in a very, very questionable light, in my opinion.
Yeah, and then Jeff Wilson, they're going to ignore it. All those other guys, it'll be business as usual. So
business
if I were him,
as usual,
I wouldn't worry if I were Prizm Gawd, because he has a show in Atlanta. Jeff Wilson has a shop in Atlanta. It'll work out. He'll look the other way.
Right. That usually happens with these guys. AIH, we have the people on the show, and we can't let you get away with, not talking. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Yeah. What were you saying?
We got to ask you about your dating life or your marriage life. Like, how's that going? Does your wife girlfriend, or partner in your life approve of you talking about Prizm Gawd and these pictures of men?
Well, I did show her. I did tell her about the talk that I had with my wife, and I did send her some of the comments that he made or his wife made. I still can't figure out who made that comment on my Instagram. And she said that it's basically deflecting and you're not getting to the issue. And then you're bringing up race where race has nothing to do with this. So I just found that weird. And this Cardboard Life just blasted Prizm Gawd just now. I think he's going to do another post tomorrow. So that should be something to look at.
That'll be definitely fun to look at.
Yeah.
Anything else for the faithful, for the chat? You got anything else you want to get off your chest tonight, AIH?
No, I just pretty much wanted to give David Kahana's story. I think you should have him on one time, because he's the guy everyone should be praising for this. And then I think now he's going to go after Windy City Sports Cards. I think that's the IG channel. I think he follows me on IG. Remember, you covered him, and it was regarding the Bill Russell card, I believe. And that hasn't been resolved.
Died. Right. And I talked to a dealer died and had a ton of cards, and his wife was super nice. I think I talked to her on the phone one day for about an hour and a half. And she kind of let Windy City Sports Cards and somebody else kind of come in and handle the sale of cards after her husband died. And apparently Windy City Sports Cards did some shady things and, took maybe more than what was agreed to. And so David Kahana's a great guy. I think I've talked to him at least a couple times over the phone. Very, very sharp, quick guy. And so if there's anybody to, if there's cards lost or stolen out there and you need to get them back, call David Kahana, because there's a pretty good chance he's at least going to track them down and do the best he can for you. So yeah, kind of an incredible guy. So we'd love to talk to him sometime, and fun guy to talk to.
Yep. All righty. I'll let you handle the show. I know you have some other guests and other topics to get to. So thanks for having me on.
Buddy, thanks. We'll have you back soon.
Thank you.
Yep. See you.
All right, brother.
See you.
That was Raul from AIH Sports, who, boy, he's getting threatened over here by Prizm Gawd, aka Mr. Culture Collision Card Show guy. Colin, what do you think about it? You heard that? You kind of heard the story. What do you think about this situation?
Well, I mean, I think you got a guy that that had a card. He knew the provenance of the card. He knew the card was hot, and hot not in a good way. He knows there's some heat on the card. You probably have a guy that's not completely flush with cash, because didn't he and his wife get a PPP loan? Didn't Prizm Gawd get a PPP loan, or his wife did? I think that's
I believe so. Yes.
yeah. So the PPP money's run out. Culture Collision was many months ago, if I'm not mistaken. So this is a guy who probably needs a little cash, and he, instead of selling the card on eBay or sending it to a consigner, he's gonna take it to Dallas and get some cash for it, and because he's probably not paying his taxes, and God only knows what else he's trying to do, and God only knows how else this guy's making money. I mean, he calls himself Prizm Gawd. And anytime people pull out the, oh, why don't you put up positive content, this, that, and the other, I'll reference again something that we talked about last week, Ryan. It wasn't positive when Kobe Bryant looked at Shaquille O'Neal and said, Shaq, you should have the surgery to repair whatever he had the first day in the offseason. Instead, Shaq waited all the way till the end of the offseason. Shaq wanted to go to Cabo and party and have fun. And Kobe called him out on it. That wasn't positive. That wasn't positive. Michael Jordan did that a number of different times in his career. Wasn't viewed as positive. Surround yourself with a bunch of positive people that ass slap you and just tell you exactly what you want to hear, and I'll find you a loser just like Prizm Gawd. Surround yourself like Jeff Wilson with a bunch of yes men. And again, I'll find you a loser. It is actually hard to surround yourself with people that tell you stuff that you don't actually want to hear. You don't want to hear that this card is hot. You don't want to hear that this card probably should get returned, or that you need to make some compensation to the original owner of this card. He doesn't want to hear that. Doesn't want to hear that. The Jeff Wilsons, the Prizm Gawds, the great curators, they don't want to hear about anything bad in this hobby. They want to just surround themselves with a bunch of yes men, surround themselves in an echo chamber, put on some soundproof headphones, and just say, oh, the hobby's great, the hobby's great, the hobby's great. Well, those people are losers. You try to find and surround yourself with people that tell you no, that tell you you're stupid, tell you that you need to get better, and actually push you harder than you want to be pushed. Because if you try to do exceptional things, you will fail. And guys like Prizm Gawd, they're scared of failure. They're scared of failure. They just want to be mediocre. They want to run a mediocre card show. They want to take out PPP loans and get free money from the government. And they want to find cards that are either lost or stolen, and then take them to the Dallas card show and just drop them off onto somebody else. That's all it is. And honestly, that's about 99% of people in the world. 99% of the people fall into Prizm Gawd. So he's actually pretty common. Guy like that, that's why it's like, I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time thinking about a guy like that. It's really the 1% people, the Kobe's, the Michael Jordans. These are the people that you should actually be thinking a lot about. These are the kind of people, if you are lucky enough to have them come into your life, you should actually embrace it and actually pull them into your life, even though they're going to make your life harder than it actually is, because they're actually trying to push you harder than you want to be pushed. Prizm Gawd's never been pushed in his life. He gets free money from the PPP loan government. He's probably got a sugar mommy that actually has a real job, and he gets to prance around to these card shows like he's actually a fucking Prizm Gawd. He would never pull up to Stockton. He would never pull up and actually try to do nothing. He's fake. He's soft. You can see it from this picture, and you could smell it and see it 15 feet away from this guy. And if we see him at Fanatics Fest or the Burbank Card Show, we'll tell it right to his face. We'll tell him right to his face that he ain't a Prizm Gawd. He's a Prizm scrub.
Well, he knew this card was whatever, however you want, whatever semantic you want to use. lost or stolen. He knew this card was lost or stolen. And then he went to the most recent Dallas card show to try to trade it to probably obviously somebody unsuspecting and pass the buck off to them. So at the, very, very kind of ethical, questionably decision, if not a legally questionable decision, to legally sell something is either lost or stolen. Very, very questionable decision there. Speaking of the 1%, we're going to be talking about our boy Jabs family in a minute.
Oh boy.
But can I get a minute here to see how much my Ryan Leaf jerseys are? I shouldn't have said anything about this.
Says she's also bidding on golden shit.
What you bidding on, Christine? We lost Christine.
We lost her.
We're going to be buying Christine some flip-flops to have her sign. And then I'm also got to email the publisher of Jeff's book to send the book to Christine, and then she's going to sign that as well. And so we'll be having some Sports Card Radio merchandise here very soon. So my Ryan Leaf jerseys are going to go for a lot more than if I had just shut my mouth and bid on them myself. So if you are the consigner of these, think about me and send me a Steve McNair jersey. I do want to get your thoughts, though, on this most recent baseball product that came out, 2023 Topps Chrome Platinum Anniversary, 12-box case. This just came out, I believe, recently. Such a wide discrepancy in what these breaks cost. Here's 39 breakers. This data comes from Break Comp. The cheapest box break is Jaspy's, which I think is only about 30 minutes down the road here on the beach at $1,634 cumulative to buy into this break. Card Collector 2 is bringing in the rear, $2,700. Average break price $1,920. It looks like the case costs around $1,650 according to a website Waxstat. But what do you think about this? Product just comes out. 40 breakers are selling this. You talk about competition. And you have one breaker that's quite literally over $1,000 less than Golden Boy Card Collector 2. Mini breaker is actually $1,000 less than Golden Boy Card Collector 2. What are your thoughts on this? What could be causing this? Are these guys not getting everything at the same price? Like what are your thoughts about such a big delta between the lowest and the biggest price?
Yeah, I mean, I tell you what, I don't know enough about how people price their breaks, the types of maybe add-ons that they have, the types of maybe other value that they add. I don't know if Card Collector 2 is adding some type of value to where he can charge $1,000 more. And then maybe why is Jaspy so cheap? It looks like he's running this at certainly if you have to pay employees, or even if you're sitting there yourself, there's an opportunity cost that you're giving up, basically selling the case at, more or less break even or at a loss. So I'm not exactly sure. Even Mojo breaks in there at $2,300, and we've seen their overhead. So it could just be, but Jaspy's right down there in some of the most expensive real estate in the world. So and maybe they break cards somewhere else. Maybe they don't break cards in Southern California. So I'm not exactly sure. I just see, like you said, there's 39 people. I don't know. Maybe this is where you go with the competition, but this seems to me like a really crowded space, and seems to me like it'd be a race to the bottom on price. But I'd be curious to know, is Card Collector 2 and Pull Wax, are these guys pulling that type of price? Is this an introductory price that they just put up on the website? Or, how are they, and are they potentially getting that price? Or is this just something that's listed on their website, and then when they go to Whatnot or they go to stream it, they're selling it for less? It's kind of like, like almost like the JCPenney strategy, where everything's full price, but there's all these coupons out there for 50% off. I don't know. I don't know. And then is Jaspy like upselling you the whole time? Is he not shipping you the base? Is he charging you for shipping? Does he take 2 weeks to ship it to you? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know enough about breaks. It's not something that I'm actively involved in on a regular basis. It just is not a part of the hobby that I'm super interested in. And so I don't know, but there's a lot of competition on these breaks, and certainly seems like to me that if the products aren't very hot, man, you probably do have to run this out pretty quick and move on to the next product. And I got to imagine when we turn into the, the next year or two, when Fanatics has a full takeover, my God, there's going to be products coming out every single week. And these guys are going to be, man, these guys are going to be busy, but I don't know if they'll actually be busy raking in the cash or not. Giving the type of profit margins that we're seeing now, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. But Fanatics certainly going to continue to squeeze them on the cost side. And I don't know. I would just be curious to know more about it. And maybe there's more to the story than just, what we're seeing here in terms of the figures. But I don't know.
That Jaspy's #1. I drive by there every single day.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
got to be an expensive piece of real estate. So yeah, I mean, even Bel Air breaks. He's probably not in Bel Air, California, but you see kind of just the range of prices here, and it'll be interesting, like you said, going forward when Fanatics fully takes over, and these guys theoretically are getting some of this stuff for the same price. Will these numbers start to tighten up? Will they all be closer a little bit more to the average? And then it'll come down to the entertainment value or what you provide above and beyond. I mean, look, there's 40 breakers breaking the same product. So if you want to talk about oversaturation, it's unbelievable. I mean, imagine if there was 40 live shows about sports cards going on right now. I mean, eventually you'd be like, well, okay, maybe 5 of these are good and the other 35 are crap. So kind of interesting. And we'll see what happens there. Another interesting thing that happened, and we're not going to dive too deep into it because there's a lot of information out there about it, specifically from our very own government. If you're living in the United States watching this, couple guys who I believe are still on the loose, they started putting appeared to be real cards, but they were like inferior cards. They take like a Michael Jordan PSA 8 card and put it into a fake PSA holder. And here is one of those cards, and this might have actually set off an FBI investigation, is this card on My Slabs, sold for $170,000, PSA 10 Michael Jordan card, and that PSA case is fake. PSA was alerted of this, and now the FBI I believe there's a manhunt for 2 guys who have ripped off dealers, auction houses, and actually ripped off PSA as well, to the tune of over $2 million in sports and Pokemon cards. Might even be a reward out there for one of the guys. If I had a little bit more time before the show, I would have tried to find these guys' faces, because I imagine they are floating around out there. They've been in the card world. They go to card shows, and they do these types of things. So definitely be careful when you're buying high-end cards.
Hey, I think the lesson here is just be careful of scamming PSA, because this is a big business with very well-connected owners that have lots of money and have a lot of political influence. Not every company could pull this off. If this was in a BGS slab, I don't know if we'd have a manhunt right now. And I'm just saying that as a word of caution to all these people that are cleaning cards, doing all this stuff, and you're running this through PSA. I mean, at some point the FBI could knock on your door, and maybe Kurt's Card Care, he doesn't care. He don't care because he doesn't have a wife, he doesn't have kids that he's not molesting. Like, I mean, I don't know. You know what I mean? So you got to value.
Shot him.
I just did that for. I shot that in there.
Shot that fool right now.
I'm not being serious, but I am being serious about the fact that you guys are frauding PSA, and PSA has a long history of being able to get the FBI to investigate fraud against them. Not every company can do that. Not everybody can do that. When the Card Shack calls up the FBI, I don't know how seriously they take them. But when PSA calls up the FBI, they take the phone call. I'm just saying. Be careful out there. Just be careful out there. We have Christine on the line. See if she's fixed her audio, video. Christine, how are we doing tonight? Internet in what was it, northeast New York must not be working very well.
Yeah, it's not be working too well. But you guys can see this is from today. This is from your very own government. They are over here fighting the fraud. And like you said, there's actually another case, and I heard from one of the ladies today that was defrauded in another one of these videos that I did like a year and a half ago about a fake PSA case, and it had a Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, excuse me, Magic Johnson, Bird Irving Magic rookie card. And there was an 80-year-old guy arrested by the FBI in Colorado, and he's currently going to trial. So I got a little update on that. But you can see this is the new case where these people buy this stuff on Amazon or eBay. They buy all these tools to make these fake cases. They go through basically how to fake these cases. But if you try to do that and you try to rip people off to the tune of $170,000, that could work out really, really poorly for you. And there's a manhunt for these guys. One of them lives in Redmond, Washington, and the other one lives in Lake Stevens, Washington. They're about 40 years old. So I'm sure we'll actually hear more about this. I'm sure the guys will get caught because once the FBI and they put a press release out for you, your days are numbered. And my guess is these guys are going to face some prison time and or have to pay a lot of restitution, $2 million in victim losses. So it doesn't have to be like an astronomical amount of money. I mean, $2 million is a lot of money to anybody, quite frankly, even the people around this neighborhood. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not like a tremendous amount of money, probably way less than the Mastro fraud that happened probably nearly two decades ago. But you can see that this Jordan card was sold. Some people questioned it right away when My Slabs posted this. And that basically probably did lead to PSA being notified and an FBI investigation. PSA is very tight with the FBI. That was the one thing I found out about. You're all correct about that. When you said that, hey, if this happened to Beckett or one of these other companies, the FBI probably wouldn't have cared. PSA is very tight with the FBI. They can call the FBI and say, hey, here's this fraud going on, and something will likely get investigated. Now, this was 2 years ago that this card got sold. So the wheels of justice turn slowly in America. We all kind of know that. But here they are looking for this guy. And I'm sure we'll hear more about that in the coming days and weeks. But should we talk about everybody's top 1% person in the sports card world? And that's Jab's family. I mean, should we feel like we've been burying the...
Oh yeah, might as well talk about Jobs.
The top story. Give me 2 seconds to bid on some shit. This got luggage. Come on.
What is this?
This is 40 items, rings and luggage of our.
You can put that in your house. I don't got room for that.
I got plenty of room for that.
I'll take
plenty of room in mom's basement for
yeah.
For Lakers items. I saw this James Harden card was at $3,000. It's got 36 minutes left. So, I mean, you know, Fanatics has a real roadmap here to where if they make some cards of some guys, they don't have to be all-time legends. No, not a rookie. This is 2017, 2018 vertical patch autograph, number to 5. And this doesn't totally shock me. I know James Harden has some fans, and it may seem like a big price, but you know, it's a very nice James Harden card. And if you want that, you're going to have to pay up for it. So found that to be an interesting price. Anthony Edwards, we'll see what those end up going for. But collection of 78 Yankees World Series Game 4 tickets.
Okay.
How are those not worth $1 each? Like, come on. Our boy Max Christie, 1 of 1. Now that Darvin Ham is fired, maybe he'll get some playing time. Maybe. And our Ryan Leaf jerseys are still, I don't know. I was thinking $5 each for these, but those are vintage, boy. That's wet right there. Okay, we got our boy Jab's family. Hopefully all his haters have filtered into the room. so that we can talk
The
about
guy
this.
has, I mean, guys have, I mean, there's guys in this hobby that'll simp for him. Mario
Right.
Alejandro, Christine's favorite guy, will simp for Jabs all day long.
Well, I
All day
guess
long,
Topps
he'll
did too.
simp for him.
They made a card of him, so I guess
They
Topps,
made a card
he's
of him.
approved by Topps.
Right.
Now, Jab's family may not be the perpetrator in this, but he certainly, you know, I think it raises some very interesting questions. So it looks like about 4 days ago, Jab's family posted a video where he went to 2 card shows in one day. So that's pretty cool. It's always a good day when you can hit up 2 card shows. And you can see here about 4 minutes in, he's kind of slow rolling this guy's case, the Stay Classy sports cards. And what you're seeing in those things are these repacks. Okay, so he's selling these repacks, right? So he slow rolls the case. He says, hey, if you want to get these repacks, stay tuned till the end of the video. Well, he ends up, I don't know if he bought these or if this was some kind of promotion, but he bought these repacks and they're fucking expensive. The all total, I think he said this was like $1,200 or $1,500. The gold ones are $500 each. So the fucking gold ones in this case were $500 each.
Wow.
And as somebody who has frequented card shows, set up at card shows, just for purposes here, just for full disclosure, do not go to a fucking card show and buy repacks. I mean, you might as well go to Dale Ball's table and buy shit from him. Just as an aside. But anyways, my guess is Jab's family, this was some kind of little homie hookup, or he knew the guy and the guy wanted some promotion for his Stay Classy cards. So here's where it gets kind of interesting. He opens up a few of them, but he saves the $500 ones until the end. And he's going to actually auction one of them off. He opened one of them and it had some shit in it, whatever. You could watch the video yourself. Here's a Chipper Jones, whatever. I doubt it had $500 worth of shit, but maybe it did. But then he said, hey, I'm going to auction one off tonight, guys. We're going to do our little auction. However he does it. And he says, you know what? Stay Classy. I think the guy's name was Bryce. The Stay Classy guy who quote sold me this told me there was a Mike Trout autograph in here, that the chaser's in this one, that there is a Mike Trout autograph in this one. So we're going to have an auction tonight for this. Now, presumably he did that. And presumably, yes, there was indeed a Mike Trout card inside that. So I wanted to get your thoughts on fair or foul for a guy who's selling the repacks to sell them and then also basically tell you what is inside. Now, maybe if I walked up to this table with $500 and placed it on the table, this is all I just want to put out there. You think I would have got sold the one with the Mike Trout in it, or would I have gotten sold the other one? So there's a little bit of a risk when the guy who creates the repack knows exactly, what's inside. He can essentially funnel that to anybody he wants. Looks like he funneled it to our boy Jab's family, who then kind of gave a peek behind the curtain and was like, guys, this has a Mike Trout in it. Let's run an auction. So fair or foul for repackers to basically handpick who gets their best card in the product or the chase card.
I mean, I guess that's the whole, repacks in general are hand packed and can be hand picked in this reason, like this doesn't seem like that unfamiliar of a scenario for a repack. Right? Because whoever is packing the products, and we did something on Backyard Breaks, it was a while ago, but like they were doing wheel spins or bingo spins or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
this
they were
will
doing
come up
bingo
later.
spins.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Right.
it's like, I mean, that is the biggest reason why. I mean, there's people in the hobby, and we may be one of them. We may not be one of them, but there's people that believe that Topps and Panini are funneling boxes and cases and packs of cards to specific influencers that have a large following and can open up packs and get big cards. And maybe a celebrity is there and they pull their card or they pull the biggest cards and all that type of stuff. So there's already that aspect to the hobby that many people either believe or don't, or just don't know and they're curious about. Well, with repacks, there is no doubt that whoever is packing that product knows exactly what's in it. And they could have these things marked. They could have these things just kind of, set up on a tee. And so if we think that Topps and Panini is sending loaded products to Card Collector 2 or Jeff Wilson or to Michael Rubin to open up with a celebrity or whatever, well, then certainly Mr. I don't know what the repack's name is. And
Stay
you
classy.
got Jabs. Yeah, Stay Classy's got Jabs family there, who's got a pretty big following. He's got his own Topps card. I mean, this guy was already, put up by Topps. And he's got more simps in the hobby than Margaret Robbie does. Well, of course, you would funnel them whatever repack product that you possibly can. So this doesn't surprise me one bit. You have low IQ repackers giving it to low IQ family men. We'll put that in air quotes. And then they try to dust this off. They basically, they do what every other influencer in this hobby does. They treat their audience like they have the same low IQ as they do. And maybe they do. Maybe the people that watch Jabs family, like Mario Alejandro, have a low IQ. Come from a broken family, have broken their own families. And so this is what they like to do. They like to hang out with other guys from broken families with low IQs. And you got to come spend your money with them. I don't know. I'm not going to get on here and tell people how to spend their money, but this seems to me like, lighting money on fire might be slightly more fun than this.
Yeah, it's a tough one there. Not a tough one for me, actually, in the regards of the repacker, because I don't think if you're making these repacks, you should almost try to make it so that you don't know what is inside. Obviously, you've got to pack these out, but it's got to be random how these get sold. And I think the people who care about the hobby positivity, like our boy Prizm Gawd and some of these other people in the hobby, at some point you got to be looking at this. And again, we're not telling people how to spend money, but $500 for that. And now here is one of the biggest channels with a guy who has his own Topps card, essentially promoting this type of thing, this type of product. Do not ever email Sports Card Radio, say, I went to a card show, I bought a repack for $500 and I got scammed. I'm going to be like, bro, what were you thinking? Have you ever watched the show? Do not fall victim to these type of things. If you want to gamble, there's certainly far better ways to gamble your money. You might even, just pick one of these breakers and do it that way. But these repacks don't get dissected enough to how easily they can be rigged. And that's in part due to the people like Jeff Wilson, like Card Collector 2, and the other hobby positivity crowd who love to tamp down any thought that Panini, Topps, or Fanatics products may be rigged or that influencers get loaded boxes. They want to tamp that totally down and that you're a crackpot for even thinking about that, or you have tinfoil hat or whatever they like to say. I'd like to ask them, well, is this rigged? What about this backyard break that got bought into the tune of $500,000? And where there's just video of this guy pick and choosing which numbers he wants to call on the bingo card. What are their thoughts about something like that? But you have the leaders in this hobby basically trying to tamp down any thought that products could be rigged. They don't want to have any discussion about that, whether it's on the Fanatic side or this repack side. They just want to, everything's hunky-dory, go to the card show, go to some random guy's table and buy a fucking Stay Classy Sports Card Baseball Variety Pack for $500. I think I just saw Pearl Jam for both nights and bought merchandise for less than that. But to each their own on how they want to spend their money. But it is very dangerous, I think, if you have repackers basically telling you what's inside these motherfuckers and funneling some of these things to the biggest channel. So I question whether that's positive for the hobby. But again, we'll let Prizm God, Card Collector 2, and Jeff Wilson decide probably what is good or bad for this hobby. But I don't know if this looks worse for Stay Classy. I don't know if it looks worse for Jabs family. Maybe people don't care.
It won't look bad for any of them because they'll each have, particularly Jabs, will have plenty of simps that'll clock in and say, well, I like the guy. I can tolerate his stream. I can sit there and watch him open cards for days, probably because I haven't gotten laid in 3 years. And I left my family and my daughter and my son off to my ex-wife, just like Jabs did.
I think there's a cameo with a girlfriend here. Hold on.
Those are the types of guys that their wives come find me.
Yeah, exactly. You need more of them in the world, huh, Tim? The deadbeat dad.
Good with it.
The deadbeat dad. That's what you prey on. No wonder you're in this hobby. There's a lot of deadbeat dads out there. A lot of deadbeat loser dads that got stream and influence in this hobby.
I woo them with my card talk and then take their ladies.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. They probably happily give it over to you because they know they can't measure up more ways than one.
So these are the type of people that get trading cards from Tops. You know, this is what is actually seen as positive. Hey, let's get these $1,200 in repacks and let's open them up on stream.
At some point, if you're Tops, you're giving cards to these influencers. Like this $500 gets taken out of the pocket of Tops, right? Unless they look at it as like, well, our cards are going in these repacks. But if I'm Tops and I have a monopoly, Tops has a monopoly soon on licensed, unopened packs of cards. But this repack stuff really infringes on that. Really infringes on it in a major way. And look, it might be a better value. It might be a better opening. It might actually be a better opening experience than opening up a case of Tops cards, spending $1,700 and getting $12 of cards in it. Might be better to open up a $500 repack and get $180 worth of cards. Might actually feel a little bit better. But if I'm Tops and I'm Michael Rubin, is this how you... Because he says they want to 10x the hobby. No, they want to 10x Tops. And are you able to 10x Tops when Backyard Breaks goes from breaking your product to only doing repack? To when you see across all right now, the hottest stuff is repack. Is this going to make Tops 10x? Or is this actually infringe and hurt their business? Again, an influencer like Jabs, he doesn't have a brain cell to even comprehend any of this. If you throw this guy's just like Jeremy Lee. If you throw him $2 to promote your shit, he'll promote it. But I'm just wondering, in the future, if you're Tops, will you allow the breakers that you authorize to open your stuff? Will you even authorize them to do repacks in the future? Because it's taking away sales. If I'm sitting at a breaker and they've got a box of Tops there, and then he's got a box of his repack, and I choose the box of the repack, well, I've just taken money out of Tops's pocket. So I'm not really even sure if Tops is even going to be really excited about these repacks here in the near future. They probably are still trying to get their own business in order and still trying to scale up their own business. They don't have time to necessarily worry about this. But will they be really happy about giving baseball cards to people that open up repack products on their show, and certainly the breakers that they're funneling allocation and product to. If those breakers are all of a sudden turning into repackers, are they really that excited about it? Maybe it provides enough liquidity to all the single cards out there and all the people that are busting into these breaks for full price. I don't really know. But I think I actually view it as a competing product to what Topps is doing. The more and more repack product is out there, the less and less it makes opening Topps triple threads that launches this week a real special thing. I'll just wait till Topps triple threads makes it into a repack product. Maybe Topps wins either way. I don't know. But just seems curious to me that we've got people that are in bed with Topps opening up stuff that more or less competes with them.
Yeah, and I don't know the policy on Fanatics Live where a lot of these breakers break, if you can even open a repack product like this, or if there are strict rules on what you can open. And we may see going forward in the future if Fanatics Live, maybe they won't sell you product unless you break on Fanatics Live. And then if there's a rule on Fanatics Live that there's no repacks, that'll certainly cut down what goes on over there. Now, Whatnot is the wild, wild west, and where a lot of these repacks get sold and a lot of this stuff goes down. So as long as Whatnot remains popular, this stuff will be around. And we're going to talk about Backyard Breaks in a minute and their repack operation. I talked to an employee who just recently got fired from them. And so it's big business for Backyard Breaks, big business to the people who sell cards into this system. And most of the hobby good old boys and most of the hobby positivity crew do not want to see repacks go away, because it is funding and funneling the greater part of the hobby economy right now. A lot of these shows exist because of repackers and because of the business it does provide. But I think it's time for the hobby positivity crew to question if this is a good thing, especially in this scenario. Maybe you guys can spend your money however you want, but fuck, like, this guy told Jabs what was in here. Told him what was inside. And then Jabs gets to auction it off. Seems a little questionable to me. I certainly I would not want to walk up to this table and plop down $500. Do I get the Mike Trout one? Probably not. Maybe he lets me pick, but probably not. So that's kind of where I stand on things. Tim, are you over there? Give us an update before we get into the Backyard Breaks. We've got lawyers watching tonight, literally lawyers being paid to watch the show tonight. And so I saved the topic to where the lawyers have to watch till the end, because I actually want to charge them the most money, because they probably bill on an hourly rate. So their clients, I actually want to charge quite a bit of money. So we're waiting to talk about Backyard Breaks and the employee who contacted me and some of the drama surrounding them. But before we get into that, Tim, are you banging any Ukrainians? What's the update on your love life and the beach life?
It's been going good, but it is a slow burn type.
So wait, with the Ukrainian, I think you were going to go on a date with her last week. Nothing consummated in that date. You guys just kind of went out and had a good time.
Yeah, she's not something I'm just trying to like make temporary.
I see. So there could be some long-term implications there with the Ukrainian.
Yes, we've been on like several dates now, but nothing, just like hanging out.
When's your next meetup with her? Do you have any plans with her, or what's the deal?
I mean, we just saw her I just saw her earlier today, and like we pretty much seen each other every day.
Wow. And have you talked about the next steps, or are you just kind of leaving it totally open? Like, have you talked about, taking things further, or are you still kind of in the get to know stage?
Just letting it pan out however it pans out.
Just letting it flow. Now, while you're trying to start something with these, and hopefully Ukrainian Goddess is not watching, and maybe we'll have to delete this later on, this little segment. Hopefully she's not watching, and maybe I shouldn't ask this question, but maybe you'll have a good answer. Are you, while you're trying to court Miss Ukrainian Goddess and things are moving along slowly, do you also play some games on the side with some other women and have some ulterior things going on over there? No comment? Is that a no comment?
I don't. I mean, all right. Yes, I still have the married couple. So
Okay. And you have you talked to the Ukrainian Goddess about your prowess with women? Like, does she know that you're out banging married couples? Is that a topic you guys have broached?
I mean,
okay, so she thinks you're wholesome Tim. She thinks you're wholesome Tim.
Essentially.
Wow, this is good drama. We need some cameras. I think we need a camera crew out with Tim, and I think on the Clips channel or something. At least we need like a
the lawyers are gonna tell her now. They're gonna find her now. They're gonna ruin it.
Oh no, exactly. We've got lawyers. They're more after me though. Don't worry. They're not after you. They're more after me. Like they literally asking me where I live and talking to me about family members and threatening me and all kinds of stuff. So hopefully the lawyers won't attack Tim. He's served our country, and so certainly not definitely not warranted there. So Tim, next week we're gonna have to check back in on how things are going and see if you've made any progress in any of your love interest. So it looks like we might be high bid on these Ryan Leaf jerseys, which for whatever reason I'm interested in. No, looks like maybe we're outbid, but they're approaching the $10 each territory, and that gets me a little nervous. Might be high bid on the Lakers stuff. Hopefully there's some room in Mom's basement and we have room for all this stuff. But should we get into the drama surrounding backyard breaks? And I think everybody, we don't have to give really a full history lesson on the backyard, but they really popped up on our radar. My God, this is a long time ago. This is coming up on 3 years ago, where they got a kaboom. They pulled, I don't know, they were trying to give away some gold Trevor Lawrence kaboom, which probably, if you zoom out another 5 years, is going to be stupid that these guys were tripping out over a fucking 18th tier quarterback. But anyways, these guys freak out. They pull a card that's probably not worth very much, to be perfectly honest. Maybe it was then. They say, oh, we can't give it away. We can't give it away. There's all this drama surrounding, did they give it away? Did they donate to the Boys and Girls Club? Anyways, for reasons we'll get into, Backyard Breaks never really got held accountable for this. They actually grew from this and exploded. They actually 10x'd and have become one of the biggest group breakers in the hobby. And seemingly anything they do doesn't catch much scrutiny, and I'll get into why. There's a lot of people who are financially tied to Backyard Breaks. Everybody from hobby shops, everybody from dealers at your local shows, and everyone where the backyard money filters down to. I mean, you could watch this video from September 2023, and I challenge anybody to say that this $500,000 repack break that they did wasn't rigged. This was rigged. This was rigged. $500,000. You talk about an FBI investigation. I set this up on a platter for them. But people protect Backyard Breaks. People protect this guy Nubs. Because these guys spend money. They spend money at shows. They spend money on single cards. They spend money with hobby shops. They spend money with dealers. They spend money with other breakers to get product. People are totally okay with Backyard doing whatever the hell they want, as long as the money's flowing out of the backyard. Well, what happened was, and I did a video a couple days ago about this, is one of their buyers for this repack products that they do, they've got to have a team of people, and apparently it's hundreds, that go out to these shows and buy these cards from dealers. Well, one of their dealers was fired recently for apparently taking kickbacks and allegedly stealing cards. And a couple days after this happened, and it was rumored that he had gotten arrested. A couple days after all this broke, I was able to talk to who we will call Backyard Ethan, who had worked for 3 years at Backyard Breaks. We talked about a number of things. And shockingly, he says he has nothing negative to say about working at the Backyard. He claims, and I don't know if to believe him, and I'll give his side of the story, but I also have talked to other dealers and other people in this industry, so I'll share that side as well. Some of what Backyard Ethan told me, I believe to be the truth. And now some of what he told me, I believe he stretched the truth. And I'll tell you where I think he's stretching the truth. He says he bought 80% of the inventory for Backyard Breaks repack products. I'm going to take the under there, but he may have contributed 30, 40, or up to 50%. This is a guy who's very well known coast to coast for buying cards. And I'll get into the kickbacks that he was allegedly taking. Anyways, prior to this Dallas card show, boy, a lot of drama happened at the Dallas card show. We had the Prizm God thing. And then we had this Backyard Ethan thing. He was headed to the Dallas card show. He was in New York. Ethan gets a call from his boss at Backyard Breaks telling him that a fellow dealer named Jeff DeJesus, who we'll get into in a minute, whose lawyer's watching, so we're just racking up billable hours over here. Anyways, this dealer kind of snitched on Backyard Ethan and was like, hey, your employee, Ethan, is stealing cards and taking kickbacks. I'll get into what the kickbacks were in a minute. Ethan told me that he quit before getting fired. That Ethan gets this call. His boss is furious. Furious. The guy at Backyard, maybe his name's Dave, is furious at Ethan and is just cussing him out because he just heard from Jeff all this shady shit that Ethan maybe was doing. Ethan then gets on the phone, he said, with one of the owners of Backyard, whether that's one of the Telford guys or not, I don't know. But apparently he gets on the phone with him. Obviously, the Backyard owner was furious at Ethan. And they say, hey, we haven't made our final decision. We'll get back to you. Ethan claims to have quit before they made a final decision. I have it on pretty good authority that Ethan was fired. But that's kind of a minor side story. Did he get fired or did he quit? Nobody really cares except the people at Backyard. What are these kickbacks? How did this actually happen? What is being alleged here? Ethan, when I asked him about it, said the only kickbacks he ever got was maybe a dealer buying him a dinner. Maybe he would get a small card and a deal here or there. Here's where I think Ethan isn't telling the full truth, because I've talked to dealers who have sold literally maybe millions of dollars worth of cards to Ethan and to Backyard. Here is what I think how the kickback scheme went. Backyard buys $100,000 or more worth of cards per month from multiple dealers. That might blow people's minds. Card shop owners, randos. Backyard buys $25,000 of cards per week from multiple dealers, including Jeff, who we'll talk about. And Ethan was in charge of kind of buying these cards. He'd communicate with the hobby shop owner that he'd get a list of cards. Hey, I want this one, this one, this one, this one, and basically pick out, $100,000 worth of cards, get it sent over to Backyard. And this train and this bus has been moving for years. Ethan says there's hundreds of people who work at Backyard. So Ethan, this is where Ethan gets a little shady. Ethan probably gets a salary from Backyard. Maybe there's some kind of commission system, but Ethan kind of went out on his own here. Ethan would tell dealers, hey, you know how normally I give you 100,000 for these cards? I'm going to give you 115,000, but you're going to give me 1,000, or you're going to give me this expensive card. And another thing Ethan probably did, allegedly did, is he would buy scrappy inventory. I call it scrap, or maybe like bad inventory from dealers as a way to get a kickback. So Ethan would buy cards from dealers that Backyard normally wouldn't buy. They wouldn't buy these cards, but Ethan would say, "Hey, I'll buy all that scrap from you if you kick me back $100 or $500 or this card." And so what essentially Ethan was doing was taking Backyard's money, paying the dealers a little bit more than he should, but getting a little bit in return. And this has been going on probably for a little bit of time. People found out about it, including this guy, Jeff, and they called Backyard and said, "Hey, you know, your guy over here, I don't know if this is illegal, what Ethan is doing. Like, I don't think he's actually stealing anything. Certainly a fireable offense, like snap fireable offense. Now, whether or not anything illegal, quote unquote, illegal is happening here, I'm going to leave that to people who are a little bit more legal experts." So that's a little bit of the rundown on Backyard Ethan, what was happening. This is what he got fired for. He was giving dealers more money than he should if he got a kickback. Now, in response to this, once he got fired, Backyard Ethan took to the scammer pages over on Facebook and wanted to get back at anybody who called him out for this, particularly Jeff DeJesus, a dealer in Florida who owns Fans Only Collectibles. He accused Jeff of all kinds of things: trimming cards, show bidding, reselling cards, tracing over autographs. Ethan specifically says that Jeff brags, this guy Jeff brags about being able to forge Patrick Mahomes autographs so good that it can pass PSA. Justin Herbert as well. We'll get into that in a minute. So Ethan's pissed that he lost his job at Backyard. He knows that's because of Jeff. So Ethan goes to Facebook to basically snitch on Jeff and say, "Hey, Jeff's doing all this shady stuff. He takes Panini stickers and puts it on cards so that it tricks people into buying them or thinking that they're redemption cards." So Jeff DeJesus, once he saw this thing on the Scammer Tracker page and saw our coverage on Sports Card Radio, was pissed. Jeff DeJesus thought he was doing this nice thing and protecting Backyard. Remember, people want to protect Backyard. Why? Because there's a money tree flowing out of Backyard, and dealers like Jeff get a piece of it. Especially the dealers down in Florida where this happened, all get a piece of the Backyard money. So they want to protect Backyard. So Jeff thinks he did this heroic thing because he saved Backyard. So after the post went up and after our video went up, he hired the lawyer, this guy over here named Daniel Rose. The lawyer was upset how he covered the story, blew me up. He inquired about where I lived. He inquired about things in my personal life. He asked me if I lived with my mother. That's why I've been making jokes about, putting the Ryan Leaf jerseys in mom. Oh, do we have enough? I got to call my mom and see if we have enough room in the basement to put these. And he said, the lawyer said, he was going to sue anybody that said anything negative about Jeff DeJesus. He said that Ethan did not have any evidence that Jeff was a scammer, but he actually kind of did. Because you got to remember that Ethan bought literally probably millions of dollars worth of cards from Jeff, who was a big dealer in Florida. Backyard Breaks would buy cards from Jeff and put them in their repack products. And Ethan was in control of that. So Ethan says what happens is Jeff buys these Panini stickers, and you can see them over here on eBay. You can buy them over here on eBay. This is just one type of them. But when Panini sends you a redemption card, like if you have a redemption card, you redeem it, and then Panini sends it to you, oftentimes it will come in like this kind of top loader or one touch, and it'll have a Panini sticker on this. People sometimes value these. They sometimes think, well, maybe the card is in good condition. Or maybe in some case it's real. Ethan alleged that Jeff does this on tons of different cards to try to trick people. He'll put inferior cards in these one touches and then put the Panini sticker onto it. He alleges that this particular card is actually owned by Jeff. It's sold on Golden in September 2023. At some point in the last couple months, Jeff has obtained this card. It's out of the PSA case and it's in a one touch with a Panini sticker on it. So he'll take cards that are in an 8 and maybe not that desirable, crack them out, put them in a one touch, then put a sticker on it. And you kind of think to your head, ooh, maybe that's a 9 or a 10. When in reality, it has already been graded. And this particular card and cards like that will end up in repack products. Now, the problem for Jeff is his fucking stupid lawyer who was messaging me basically admits to this. Basically admits to that Jeff tries to defraud people with these Panini stickers. My texts are in blue in this particular conversation. Jeff and the lawyer kept trying to get me to see that, guys, I saved Backyard here. Jeff thinks he did this heroic thing to save Backyard from this rogue employee. Newsflash, guys, nobody gives a fuck about Backyard except you guys who are selling them cards and their fanboys. Everybody else hates them. Nobody cares that Ethan stole potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars from Backyard. Literally nobody cares except Jeff, the lawyer, and some other dealers and Backyard's fanboys. I certainly don't care that Backyard got scammed. So this dork lawyer, I was trying to explain to him, I care about fake cards, trimming, and fake stickers. This is the type of shit I care about. I don't care if Backyard gets scammed. The lawyer says you should because he did that to dealers he was doing business with. Talking about Ethan. I said the dealers Backyard bought from didn't get scammed. Backyard got scammed. These dealers could go sell to any number of repackers for 80 to 90%. They don't have to deal with Backyard. These dealers didn't get scammed by Backyard. Here's where the lawyer makes a mistake. He claims Jeff didn't scam anybody. And he says, I showed you a seller selling the same stickers on eBay. And he sent me this eBay link. And he sold over 40 according to this listing. You were harping on art cards that are cut up. He's trying to say that Jeff only does this with art cards. He, I don't know, makes some random cards and then puts a Panini sticker on it. But he admits that Jeff buys the same stickers and puts them on his one touches to try to perhaps deceive collectors, as he did allegedly with this Brock Purdy card and hundreds of thousands of cards that he sold to Backyard. I try to get the lawyer to realize, hey, I don't care about Backyard getting scammed. Your boy Jeff is trying to rip off regular Joes with this little sticker scam. And again, the lawyer and Jeff are trying to get me to care about the fact that Backyard got scammed. So we have two dealers or two people in the sports card world, Backyard Ethan and Jeff DeJesus, basically pointing at each other saying, hey, you did shady things. And there's probably a little bit of truth in both of that. They both did shady things. This kickback things, Ethan says he only got kickbacks. The only kickbacks he got were a free dinner and a small card here and there. I totally do not believe that. I think it more ran something like this. He normally was going to give a dealer $100,000 for some cards. Instead, he gives them $115,000 and takes $1,000 kickback. And this was happening time and time and time again. Jeff got fed up with it, ratted him out to his employer. And then Ethan was obviously mad at that and then started talking about all the shady stuff Jeff did. So I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting how people like Jeff and these lawyers and these other dealers, they will run to protect Backyard. Run to protect Backyard. I'm the bad guy, supposedly. I'm the one who's going to get sued. I'm the one who gets questioned where I live. So what do you think about this story, these repackers, and this drama going on down in Florida?
Well, yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of different layers here. I think we're right. We've got, some employee drama, and this type. I think you said Backyard has 100 employees. Anytime you stretch any organization out there, it could be the Catholic Church, and it could be Backyard Breaks. You're going to run into some problems, and so it doesn't surprise me. And I tell you what, I mean, this thing could eventually implode. If this drama gets out of hand, if you will. Thinking layers outside of Backyard, when I was at the card show in Sacramento this last weekend, shout out to Boss Man, shout out to Auburn Trading Card Show, shout out to everybody that I saw there. This was a big topic out there, not necessarily what was happening in this kind of he said drama, but the repackers coming in here and buying up a lot of this product. And we certainly have evidence of it here. Where is Backyard getting all this money? If they're spending millions of dollars, are they really selling millions of dollars a repack on Whatnot every single week?
There was one that was, this break totaled $400,000 in break spots. This one break in September 2023. That was
so rigged. They're doing this all the time. Like I don't pay attention. So they're doing this all the time. And they're able to get this type of money flowing into again, like if you're Tops, I'm not excited about this because this is all money that could be flowing into other areas of, and somebody did bring up a good point. If they're doing this on Fanatics Live, they're collecting their 10% either way. But a lot of times this is done on Whatnot. This is done over on Backyard. This is done, behind the scenes. So I mean, I don't know. To me, there's a lot of smoke. There's always been a lot of smoke around Backyard Breaks. And I think at some point we just see it, it comes an all out forest fire at some point. I don't think that happens in the next week or two, or maybe even the next month or two, maybe not even in the next year or two. But at some point, I think you've got a lot of smoke. There's going to be a lot of fire behind the scenes here. I'd be curious to where these guys get a lot of their funding. I don't think it's all coming in through people buying these repacks. There's got to be money coming in other ways here that we're just either not aware of or is just not apparent yet. Because I just don't see this as a legitimate business model in the hobby. And I don't see it as a sustainable business model as well. To just constantly being out there buying $100,000 worth of card. Eventually you run into the problem that they had. The employee runs some kind of fraud on them. Whether it's fraud or not, I don't know. It's certainly internally the company has been frauded by Backyard Ethan in one way or another. At the very least, it's like you said, it's a fireable offense, and they probably should fire him. But at some point, the whole rug gets pulled on this whole, buyback, 80% off, 90% off comp. At some point, the rug gets pulled on that. And then all of us in the chat that has more brain cells than Jab's family and a lot of these people, we're going to sit back and there's going to be a lot of cards for super cheap because this is the only thing that's propping up this hobby. This is the only thing that's propping this up is you've got Backyard Ethan out there. And we know some of these dealers, we know this stuff is going on. This is not a rumor. And this is one of the reasons why I'm over here. So I don't know if it might be fans of the show, but I'm selling Michael Jordan cards every 2 seconds over here. This is the reason why I'm playing in that space, because I don't want to compete against these guys. I don't want to be in there bidding against the cards that these guys are putting into their repack products. Good luck with that. If this lasts another 2, 3, 4 years, you ain't going to make no money doing that. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of smoke going on over at Backyard Breaks. I think there's going to be a lot of fire at some point. I don't think they're making all of their money on these repacks. I think some of this money has got to be flowing in through other ways. It may not be nefarious either. It may not be they're unloading boats in Miami with with white powder in it. I'm not saying that, but
How do I get in that break?
yeah, right. I don't know. It just never has struck me as an organization that is completely running, completely transparent. And like you said, there are a lot of people that literally run to defend these guys because they're basically propping up a lot of people's business and a lot of people's business models. But we know that the business can't be that good, Ryan, because again, the guy's got to run to Amazon and buy fake Panini stickers and run this scam where he got, I don't know. I hesitate to even call it a scam, but I mean, the guy selling the fake stickers, that is a scam. That is probably technically illegal. They're taking a trademark and selling it. But taking cards in PSA 8, cracking them and putting them in these one touches. Like, I think you said the guy, was this the guy that had the Lamborghinis or something? But it's like,
well, they both, the lawyer and Jeff both have like Ferraris and Lamborghinis. I want to sue these guys. Like, these guys are coming after me. No.
Right.
You guys watch what you say, because I'm suing. You guys have stuff I can get. You ain't gonna get nothing from me. I ain't got no Gucci. I ain't got no Rolexes. I got a 5-year-old car that's paid off. You ain't getting shit from me, bro. I'm suing you guys. You guys watch what you say about me, because you guys have the Ferraris and Lambos.
Right. And yeah, trust me, our attorney watches this. And every time I see him, he says, "Who we suing, Colin? Who we suing?"
Right here, these two fuckers.
Yeah. So it's like nothing gets these. And really, when the Jeff Wilson stuff came up, like, it was really exciting to our attorney, because they were like, "Hey, this is a guy who walks around and flaunts millions of dollars of wealth. This is exactly the kind of guy you want to sue. It's exactly the kind of guy you want to sue." But I can't imagine how great business is going is if you got to be buying PSA 8 slabs, cracking it out, putting it in this thing. I mean, are you really, really making a ton of money doing that? Maybe you are. I don't know that market well enough to really know. But I tell you what, I think this is a developing story, not really on the employee side and Jeff. These are names that'll probably come up again in the future, maybe in a parallel, maybe in a direct instance. But I think like if Backyard was a chapter book and it had 10 chapters, I still think we're on chapter 2 or 3 with them. I think the first chapter was them literally jizzing over themselves over a Trevor Lawrence card. And look, I understand that they're fans of them.
Grand.
At least the guy with the white guy there with the Kansas jersey. Like, I'm pretty sure he's a fan of Trevor Lawrence. So I think they're in Florida, so I think they're fans of Jacksonville. And so I don't ever gonna get on anybody for jizzing over their own quarter. I mean, certainly if Joe Burrow walked in the door right now, I would close the stream and geek out a little bit. So, or Chad Johnson, it doesn't even have to be Joe Burrow. It could be anybody, Corey Dillon. So I get it, but I think it's, we're still in the early stages, very early stages of Backyard. I don't think it ends well. I don't think it ends well at all. And we'll see what happens, but I still think we're in the early stages here.
It's like one of my best edits of all time, zooming in on when he winks. Why'd he wink? It's kind of an interesting thing to do.
Right.
So yeah, I totally agree with you. I think we're literally in the second inning of this stuff. Ethan actually surprisingly didn't really have anything negative to say about his time at Backyard. Met a lot of good people, still definitely wants to work there. I get the sense that he's kind of upset about it. That's why he went and attacked Jeff. I think Ethan, I actually find Ethan to be somewhat truthful on some things. I think where he's not being truthful, he doesn't want to take full responsibility for what he did.
He shouldn't admit to it. Shouldn't admit to it. That would be really stupid.
But I talked to some other dealers who sell a lot of cards to them. Nobody that allegedly Ethan tried to get a kickback from, but I think I have a pretty good handle on how this happened, and Ethan probably profited quite a bit. And the other thing that happened, again, this is, nobody's going to care about this because this is just backyard getting scammed. So if they were going to pay 100,000 for cards, but then he started paying 115, and this happened on a weekly, if not monthly basis, I mean, backyard probably got defrauded of literally hundreds of thousands of dollars that Ethan should have paid less for. And then if he's taking scrap inventory, I mean, those cards shouldn't have even been purchased. So it'll be interesting to see how backyard recovers. He claims that he bought 80% of the inventory. I mean, Ethan, kind of, claimed that he was kind of a big shot there. Maybe he felt like he was underpaid, if this is even remotely true. If he was pulling in 40% of the inventory, he was probably underpaid. Because we're probably talking about a lot of money. And they sell these kryptonites and nebulas and whatever the fuck you guys buy over on Whatnot. So I think it's interesting. And I think we finally got a little bit of a peek behind the curtain. And I see tension between dealers out here in California when I go to shows. I mean, I've got messages I could show from dealers and crazy stuff. And I get the sense that there could be some tension developing down in Florida between dealers. And if the market just, like you said, tightens up just a little bit and this repack thing goes away, oh boy. Whew. If that economy dips even 10%, 20%, it's going to affect a lot of people in this industry. These shows exist. People like Jeff and these lawyers, they exist. They try to bully people who want to talk about this. He literally tries to bully me, but then in the statement, he says, oh yeah, he has the same stickers that the guy's selling on eBay. So maybe, Jeff, you want to look into a new lawyer because your lawyer fucking sucks. And I'll have plenty more on my website about this lawyer in the coming days, weeks, months, and or years. Because I did not like the tone. He was basically trying to punk me. Bringing up all this shit about me. Knew exactly where I lived. Should know that I don't live with my mom if he knows exactly where I live. I wish I lived with my mom. Maybe I would have room for these fucking Ryan Leaf jerseys in there that went for way more than they should have. God damn it. But that's the situation there. I think it was two scammers pointing at each other, Ethan and Jeff, pointing at each other saying, hey, look, the guy's a scammer. And there's a little bit of truth in what they both said. So I appreciate Ethan, if you're watching, for reaching back out to me. My advice to you, you're a young guy. Your next employer ain't going to give a fuck about this. Now, you're probably not going to ever get a job in the sports card industry. You got to take a year or two off and then you could come back. But in the next year, it's going to be very difficult for you to work in the sports card industry.
Tops will probably just make a card of them.
Oh yeah, you'll have a Tops card by next year. But shake this off. Your future employer ain't going to give a fuck about this. Your future employer ain't going to watch Sports Card Radio. Your future employer isn't going to contact Jeff. You're going to get hired doing something else. Just I would highly suggest, what I would have done, Ethan, is if you felt you were underpaid and you needed to kind of do some kind of kickback thing, go to your boss and leverage what the fuck you have. If you were really buying 80% of the backyard's cards, you go to your boss and say, I'm quitting tomorrow, by the way, unless I get $1,000 raise. And guess what? You probably would have got $1,000 raise or whatever money you wanted. If you were this important to them, even if it wasn't 80%. Always, as an employee, never feel like you're fucking stuck. Go to your boss and say, I'm quitting tomorrow unless I'm getting more money. And guess what? That probably actually oftentimes works because now backyard has to find another guy. This is a tough moment for backyard. Again, nobody's going to give them any sympathy except for Jeff and their fanboys. Tough moment for backyard to lose somebody like this if he was indeed this important. And it appears like he did. I talked to a number of dealers who had dealt with Ethan. And at the very least, kudos for Ethan for talking to me and not lawyering up like this fucking pussy did Jeff DeJesus. So Jeff and the lawyer, I have a message for you guys. You watch what you say about me. You watch what you say about me. You're the guys with the Ferraris. and the flexing. I'll sue both you motherfuckers. If you want to pull this bullshit.
Since when didn't he show you like the pink slip? It's like owning a depreciating sports car. When did that turn into a flex?
I probably didn't show it, but all Jeff told me is he's a family man. He's a family man. Okay, that's fine. You're a family man. Why do I go to your Instagram and it's only your fucking cars? Are you really that big a family man?
Like I had a great photo with my sons at the card show, but I'm not going to post it on my Instagram because I don't need anybody I don't need anybody in that. So I get not like if you go to my Instagram, there's more pictures of my Rolex than my son. So I don't.
But your Instagram Sports Card Radio. Yeah, I'm talking about Jeff DeJesus' personal Instagram is flexing his cars, but he tells me he's a family man. Again, I can only go by what these guys tell me. I'm not saying he's not a family man, but it just looks weird to me when you tell me you're a family man and then all you're doing is flexing your cars. I think it's all just a front. These guys always talk about, I'm good for the hobby and I do this and I do that and blah, 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 blah. Then why are you buying Panini stickers and putting them on one touches to deceive customers? Why? This might be worse than anything Ethan did at Backyard. This might actually be illegal. What Ethan did, I'm not sure is illegal. I just think it's a highly fireable offense. Maybe it's, quote, embezzlement if you can prove it. I don't know if you can actually prove it. I don't know the law. I know that if somebody made sports card investor stickers and started putting them on What Touch, Jeff would have every right to be pissed off. Imagine if we did that. Imagine if we sold cards and put sports card investor fucking stickers on the One Touch. Jeff would rightfully probably be pissed. Imagine if somebody did that with Sports Card Radio and just started putting One Touches with Sports Card Radio on it. The implication would be that that was maybe our card at some point. This is deceptive. We saw the FBI act today about deception. Deceiving people for financial gain. So at the very least, according to Jeff's lawyer, he has done that with One Touches. So Jeff, hire a new lawyer because your lawyer's a fucking idiot. Basically admitted to the fraud.
Yeah, I wouldn't admit to doing it. Like, yeah, that seems to me a little bit of a slip.
He literally sent me the eBay link, and he said, FYI, the lawyer did. And I said, shouldn't you ask your boy Jeff about these? Like, why did you send me this? I don't care. He wanted me to look into this seller, and I was like, why should I do that? It's your boy Jeff is the one who. That's Panini's job. That's your boy's Jeff's apparently prerogative. I don't do this shady shit. I don't put copyrighted logos on my One Touches and try to sell them to into the backyard repacks. That's what Ethan was alleging, that Jeff does this countless times. So I think it's interesting. I think these guys are fucking shady. And bottom line, they all try to protect Backyard. That's why you don't, when Backyard gets in trouble, when they do stupid shit, when they steal the Kaboom, when this break over here that was so rigged, there's no pushback. Go to the comments on this and it's, oh, Nubs is a nice guy. Oh, Nubs is cool. All in an effort to protect Backyard because the money tree is flowing out of Backyard into the singles market. And if that ever dries up, then we certainly will have fun times covering the hobby and cheaper cards. So we will wait for that day. That day will happen. That day will come. Backyard won't just keep getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And maybe something like this is some of the first signs of cracks in the actual business. So we'll see. thought it was an interesting story, and hopefully we racked up some billable hours today for Jeff and his lawyer. But that's all I had on this particular topic.
Okay. Wow. That's fantastic.
And I probably didn't win shit because I was talking.
Everybody wants to know I sold. I mean, I've been selling Michael Jordans like it's my job over here. Look at this one. I mean, this won't make backyard, but I sold MVP, Upper Deck MVP. This is like big Topps Big League. How much do you think that card sold for? Base card.
Base card, Wizards uniform?
Wizard uniform, Michael Jordan.
$2? $2?
That's how much I paid for it. And I sold it for a straight $9.99 come up the week I got it. So
a base card?
I'm doing, baby. Base card, Michael Jordan. Paid $2 in a lot. I got him in a lot. It was a lot of Wizard cards. I think there was 60 of them, maybe less than that. Maybe it was like 40. And I paid about $2 a card.
Okay.
And I just got 10 for one.
And then what do you make after fees and everything? What's the profit on turning 2 into 10?
So yeah, the breakouts right here, I charge $1.12 for shipping, but it's only 66 cents to ship. After eBay fees, I collect $9.26. I will pay 66 cents for an envelope. I'll pay another, we'll call it 20 cents for label, all the other stuff. So you take $9.26 and you minus off 80 cents, and you're at, what are you at? $8.40 minus off the $2 cost on the card, and you'll make, we'll just call it $6.
$6. And then I was at Burbank Sports Cards the other day, who kind of runs a similar thing. He's trying to turn 2 into 10, and he says he sells 3,000 to 5,000 cards per day. So it's $6. If you were able to make $6 per card and sell 3,000 cards, wouldn't that be like $18,000 profit?
Yeah. But you're not, I mean, that's pretty rare. I mean, to give you some
obviously rare, but
right. To give you other,
who wouldn't want to make, I think everybody would want to make $18,000 in a day if you could scale it up.
Sure. Like more common is you're going to get like that Michael Jordan card, like an Upper Deck one. And I probably paid like $1.50 for that one. And you sell it for $3. And you end up, you're going to make about $1 on that one. But you're selling, I mean, just in the past 24 hours, I've sold probably close to 20 Michael Jordan cards.
Wow. Okay.
So
the
you're
tap
making
is turned on.
The tap is definitely turned on. Yeah. And you're making, if you have it priced right, you're making 75 cents to $1 per transaction, per purchase on eBay. Obviously lower for some cards, higher for others. But you're selling, I'm selling anywhere from $30 to $40 a day right now. And, you're making some decent profit there. It's certainly not going to buy me a new Rolex. But I'm just in the early stages of scaling the business up. That's kind of how I look at it, is I only have 800 listings on eBay right now. I'm looking at the end of the year, what happens when I have 8,000 listings? Then you're selling, maybe not quite Burbank level, but you might be selling 40 packages a day. And yeah, if you make $2 a card on 40 packages a day, that's not bad. If it can be kind of your side thing, that's not bad. So
not bad at all.
And it could grow into more than that.
Well, you could always, like Burbank sells a lot of expensive cards in his shop. It could always morph into, then you dip into the more expensive stuff, or you play in both. I think a lot of times people pigeonhole themselves into one thing. We see it with breakers all the time. I mean, all they do is break cards, a lot of these guys, and they literally don't do anything else to service the hobby or anything like that. I think if you're selling singles, maybe you start in the low end game, or maybe I guess you start in the high end game. And I think you can eventually, even if you're only doing it online, sell that quite a bit. I know there was some news out of Golden. Some people emailed me, and I didn't quite understand why people were upset. And maybe I can be enlightened here. People were mad that the Golden marketplace is going away. Now, if you remember recently, Golden was purchased by eBay, formerly owned by Collectors and PSA. PSA acquired the eBay vault. Essentially, it's a marriage between PSA, Golden, and eBay. Now, we could say this company owns this one. It doesn't really matter. In my opinion, they're almost kind of all the same, because now there's this partnership. Every card on the Golden marketplace was in the PSA vault. Okay. Every single card listed on the Golden marketplace was a card residing in the PSA vault. All those cards in the PSA vault are now going to be listed onto eBay. No offense to Ken Golden and his new ownership that just purchased. I would rather have my cards listed on eBay than on the Golden marketplace. Maybe not every card, but I would much rather have my inventory listed on eBay. Again, no offense to Golden. So I didn't quite get people were saying, somebody sent me an email saying, oh, now we don't have choice where we can sell our cards. Guys, if you're pissed the Golden marketplace went away, go to the PSA vault, click all your cards you want, ship them to yourself for $1, and sell them wherever the fuck you want. At a show, on PWCC, on Facebook, sell them to Ethan, sell them to Jeff, sell them to Card Collector 2, sell them to Prizm Gawd, get a loan from them for an Investacard. Guys, you have more choices where to sell your cards than ever fucking before. So I see this as a good thing. All the shit that's in our vault, guess where that's going to go? Onto eBay. I don't see that as a bad thing, but maybe I'm missing something.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe the communication could have been better. We heard that, Golden got bought by eBay. Maybe better communication about what was going to happen to all the cards and all the inventory. You know what I mean? Like, I think maybe that's
I guess maybe you're right, because I knew instinctively when this whole transaction went down, I know that all the stuff on the marketplace is in the PSA vault. So when PSA entered an agreement with eBay saying, hey, your vault is now ours and we're going to use this vault, and PSA announced that all this inventory, anything in the vault, can be listed on eBay, I knew that was the end of the Golden marketplace and probably the relationship between the vault and Golden. Now, how the integration with Golden and eBay will work out, I guess we'll see that in the next coming months. Probably a lot of the hang up is on the eBay side, because that's a huge corporate company, and to integrate some of these auctions with eBay could take some time. But for me, and the fees are going to be more. To sell on eBay is more than it is to sell on Golden. I think to sell on the Golden marketplace, it was only, quote unquote, 8%. And I think toward the end, I sold some things and they weren't charging fees at all. I sold some cards in the last.
I mean, that would definitely get some people upset too, because it was like, if you had stuff priced on there based on that fee structure, and now it's going over to eBay and you're going to be at 15-20%, like, I could see, like, okay, now that's over. But
I think you're just going to sell way more. You're going to sell more.
Yeah, you're going to sell more. But that's pretty standard, like, it's pretty standard. I mean, if that's the game you play with these vaults too, is that, you got your cards are tied up. And so that is there's some pluses, but there's some minuses with it as well. But I think in general, you just want to be, if you're a single card seller, you're just trying to sell in a lot of different avenues. And honestly, I think taking your stuff, eBay's great. It's great for the Michael Jordan cards and stuff like that. But it's like, I mean, I was just at a show, and if I had a lot more cards there, if I took all my Michael Jordan cards down, I would have sold a lot of them. So I think there's other ways to sell cards. I think if you want to, and it's great. I mean, 10 years ago, we were really only talking about buying and selling on eBay. I mean, that was it. There wasn't really a lot of other options. And so now there's all these options. It is being consolidated a little bit more so around eBay, not necessarily on the high end, but kind of the low to mid end card is really going to eBay, but it is what it is.
interesting. So we will see what happens there. But yeah, I'm excited about being able to list a whole bunch of stuff in the PSA vault on the eBay because I think it'll get a lot of eyeballs and
More liquidity, way more
well,
liquidity.
way more liquidity on $100. If you sell something for $100, I think it's the fee is $16, so 16%. So it is a little up. Now you don't have to ship anything. You don't have to worry about returns. You don't have to worry about any of that. That's part of the advantage of doing that. And you don't have to handle all your inventory. You could be traveling, you could be on the road and stuff could still be selling. So I'm excited about that. I probably will go through the vault and pick and choose some of the stuff that I will ship home and whatever, keep it or try to sell it somewhere else. But I think you have as many options as you ever had selling cards. And if you like Golden, you could still sell, you could still send stuff to them and sell it. And how the integration will work with eBay, perhaps it'll be very, very easy to list some cards onto Golden because of that integration. So we'll see what happens there. But I think go ahead.
We've got some big events coming up in August. You've got the National, you got the Fanatics Fest, and you've got the Burbank Card Show. I mean, I'd just be prepping for that, and that's not only for us, but that's everybody. Like, look, if you're going to be going to these things, certainly if you're like us, we're not going to be setting up at Fanatics Fest, but we're going to be setting up at Burbank, man. I would just bring your stuff there because it's great. You can have stuff that you can be trading, you can have stuff that you can be selling, you can have stuff, a combination of both, where maybe you're getting a little cash, Venmo, whatever it is, and be selling. So I just think, as a seller, you've got to be nimble, and there's always going to be bumps in the road. There's always going to be hurdles to hurdle. I mean, just sell on Amazon. And I mean, if you sell on Amazon for a couple of years, the hurdles that company puts you through to sell on their platform is like, this is nothing.
You could tell that these people have never tried to sell anything on Amazon if they're complaining about fucking being able to list shit on eBay now at a click of a button.
Right. At a pretty standard fee. I mean, maybe it's elevated, maybe it's not. I don't really care. Just work it into your business model and work it into your selling fees. But I mean, try to sell for, I mean, this is my 7th or 8th year selling on Amazon. Oh my God, that company is, I mean, I love Amazon, believe me, but goddamn, try to sell on Amazon and it make this look like a walk in the park. That's for sure. So, maybe we should talk about Fanatics Fest. It worked really well last week. Shout out to Boss Man. If Boss Man is watching, I do want to find out what Boss Man collects and take care of my man up north just a little bit. I do want to take care of him. And so if Boss Man, you're watching, text me, let us know what kind of cards that you like. Maybe there's some stuff that you like to sell. If you're in the chat, let's try to get Boss Man up over 1,000 subscribers. Let's do that.
Let's fucking go.
It's got 600 subscribers. Let's try to do that. Boss Man Sports Cards on YouTube. And let's hook it up. So, Boss Man, thank you very much for last week. I didn't end up running into him at the card show, but look, it worked really well. We talked about a card show that I was going to, and Boss Man hooked it up. We're going to Fanatics Fest. Now, we do not need to get hooked up, Ryan. That is because we already have a hotel booked for Fanatics Fest. It's the beautiful Pendry, I think. Pendry in Manhattan. RY, I think. Yeah, it's that. Top search result. So we're staying at the Pendry. 5-star hotel.
Okay.
4.8%, 4.8 guest rating, I think. We stay in here. It's like a 5-minute. There was a hotel. There was a 5-star hotel slightly closer to the event, but if you read the reviews, people prefer this one. Okay. So I've never been to New York City, but this is where we're staying. Now, here's the deal. I am flying in early in the morning, Friday, the event starts. The Pendry is not going to allow me to check in until about 3 p.m. Now, there's probably a bellhop, if you will, Ryan, where you like check your bags. But that's what peasants do that don't have Louis Vuitton luggage.
Ooh,
I don't
okay.
feel super comfortable bellhopping my Louis Vuitton luggage for obvious reasons. It's probably worth north of $10,000, even in used condition. So if there's anybody that is going to Fanatics Fest that is already going to have a hotel room that I can trust to maybe we can hang out a little bit and I can put my bags in your room so I don't have to be walking the streets of New York City with $10,000 worth of Louis Vuitton luggage, that would be ideal. Okay. But if not, I will figure out a way to cope on the streets of New York City with, and I mean, I have a MacBook that probably costs more than the luggage did. So I'll be rolling with some the cards. Forget the cards. Like I probably won't have any cards with me, but I will have some expensive stuff. The Rolex will be on the wrist. There's no doubt about that. So yeah, we're going to be setting up at the Javits Center. Oh no, we will not be setting up, but we will be there. But if anybody wants to take a break from the show, we will have a hotel in very short walking distance to the venue at the beautiful Manhattan West. And I think it was $700-800 a night. So if you want to stay there,
damn, $700 a night.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't get the standard room. Come on. And it is, God, you know, it's nice though. It's nice. But there is the Equinox, which is like literally right across the street.
God damn. Rack a night for this shit.
Yeah, it's a rack a night, but I mean, I think it's right there in the middle of, you know, it's right there in Manhattan. So
there we go.
This is the kind of stuff that you've got to deal with.
Okay.
Now we are going to Burbank. What's awesome is you guys that are not going to be able to attend the event or want to attend the events vicariously through us, be ready for a whirlwind of content 90 days from now, because we will go to Fanatics Fest. We will not hold back there. I'm sure everybody's going to be at Fanatics Fest. This week I was set up at the card show, and I think it was the NorCal Sports guys were right next to me. Those were the guys that had the Victor Wembanyama 1-of-1 black. And I had multiple people come up to me and be like, was that a little awkward? And I was like, first of all, I didn't even know who they were. Like I had forget. People like think that, especially with me, maybe with Ryan, it's a little bit different, but with me, whoever we talk about on the show, I basically forget about them about 10 minutes later.
Dude, I had to go rewatch this video and I literally could not tell you the story. Like I literally, I think people, they think we kind of live and die off this stuff. Which is literally have to go watch my own shit to remember what even happened.
Right. And I had to remember, like, oh, who is NorCal Sports? And it's like, oh, they're the guys that pulled the thing. And then now that they weren't out there, I showed up late the day that they were there the most. They weren't even there really the second day and the third day. They might have been there, but it's not like, again, it's not awkward when you're Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant in the locker room with Shaq, when he's telling Shaq, get in shape, you're fat, get your surgery done so we can go win our 4th title. That's not awkward if you're Kobe. When you're Kobe Bryant, it's not awkward, guys. When you're trying to push other people around you in this hobby to be better, to run a better business, to not do stupid things like walk into PSA and shout out Kurt's Card Care, we can all agree, guys, that's a really stupid thing to do. It's not awkward for me at all. It's not awkward. What's awkward is me watching you walk into PSA and shouting out Kurt's Card Care. That's awkward for me. But it's not awkward for me to run into you, because I will tell you to your face, if you want me to, that was really awkward. You probably shouldn't have done that. And chances are you're probably going to agree with me. On a sober day, you'll agree with me. And on a sober day, most people agree with Sports Card Radio. They agree with Sports Card Radio. Do we go off the rails every once in a while? Of course we do. But in general, I think we have a sobering take on most of these things. And at the end of the day, these guys agree. If you're Jeff Wilson, all we want you to do is man up and become a good sports card investor. There's no one else in this hobby that actually wants Jeff Wilson to be a good sports card investor other than Sports Card Radio. We want Jeff to actually be good at investing in sports card, since that's what he calls himself. And that's the kind of content that he puts up a lot of the time. Certainly 2 or 3 years ago. We just want him to be actually good at what he does. Just like Kobe wanted Shaq to be in shape. Just like Michael Jordan wanted his teammates to put in the work and put in the effort. But instead, we're called negative, we're drama queens, this, that, and the other. Instead, that's what we get labeled at. And that's totally fine. That's totally fine. Because we'll be staying at the Pedri. I've got my first class tickets booked. I think people think we're joking. I've got my first class tickets, and I'm flying from California. It ain't like I'm flying from North Carolina. Okay, I'd probably fly private if I was coming in from North Carolina. Okay, I'm flying in from California, first class. I will have my Louis luggage. I'll have one of my Rolexes, probably the 18-karat gold one. We'll be staying. We'll be eating fine dining restaurants. We'll be making Brian Gray pay for at least one of the meals. We'll show up at the venue for like an hour or two, and then we'll bounce and we'll go do some fun shit.
It wouldn't shock me. So this is a 3-day event. My total time in the Javits Center, I'm going to say under 1.5 hours. Literally.
I mean, maybe there's some quality merchandise. Well, let's just assume there's quality merchandise, and we're not talking about trading cards. We're roaming around the Javits Center. Would you increase your time there?
Buddy, there's going to be plenty of merchandise around NYC.
Fair enough.
So come on, what are we even talking about? So if you want to catch us at this event, you're probably going to have to catch us, at least me. I could see myself taking a lap and then being like, okay, that was cool. Let me go chill out in New York City now.
Now, yeah, if I had been to New York City 10 times, then I might spend a little more time in Javits Center, but this is my first time in NYC. I want to see 9/11 Memorial, rest in peace, all the victims of that. I want to see Wall Street. I need to get some photos of me on Wall Street. I'm going to try to get a tour of the actual trading floor there. I want to get myself photos there just for my job and stuff. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm going to want to do. There's the other parts of New York City that I'll want to see. So it's a little bit different. Whereas like when we go down to Burbank a week later,
the whole day. Yeah,
we'll probably be there the whole day. If the internet's good, we can live stream. We'll be walking around.
Damn, it's like 4 days after. Oh wow.
I know, dude. I know.
Okay,
you're telling me.
Jesus, this is a lot.
I know.
Wow.
We gonna be NYC back to LAX.
I ain't used to that type of work, man. I like to just chill and shit. I don't got ambition like Jeff Wilson, and I've got to be everywhere, and I've got to fucking do this. It's
I know.
I want to go home.
It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be rough because wait till you see where we're staying. We're staying in Burbank. Come on, we ain't doing that.
On the beach. Yeah, we're
gonna be on the beach in Los Angeles in the summertime. Oh man, that's gonna. I haven't even looked at what that's gonna cost. It was like 3 racks, I think. It was like 3 racks for New York City for the hotel. I'm thinking it might be closer to 5 for Burbank, but we'll see.
Wow, we going big. Okay.
I mean, you drag me out of the house. Oh, we do it. We do it right. We do it right. So, and if Boss Man is watching, he can more than welcome to stay with us at the Pedri or down in Southern California as well.
Yeah, Boss Man is invited.
Yes.
To these extravaganzas. So
here we go.
Yeah.
Wow. 90 days. Strap up, get ready. And here we go.
I should have shown the email where the stupid dork lawyer was like, I'll fly you out to the Nationals or whatever with an S. And so you and Jeff can meet and film it. And I was like, buddy, I will never be in Cleveland, Ohio ever again in my life unless I severely fucked up. Period.
Maybe like a Cleveland Browns playoff game or something.
No. I'll watch it on TV.
Oh,
Dead ass. I will never be in Cleveland unless it's a fucking mistake. Unless I'm driving to Chicago or something.
Is that the mistake by the lake, or is it Cincy that's the mistake by the lake? I don't know.
Cleveland's the mistake on the lake. Cincinnati's inward. Cleveland's on the, and you get the lake snow in the winter they were telling me about. I was like, yeah, this place fucking sucks. No offense to anybody from Cleveland. We grew up in
Right.
an area that is notorious for fucking being shitty.
It
Cleveland sucks.
I was there today. So
I will never be in Cleveland ever again, especially for a stupid fucking card show. I went twice. Go to the videos on our channel. I went twice. So that's enough for me. I don't have ambition like Jeff Wilson. I've got to have a table and I've got to have a booth and I've got to hand out my business cards. No, I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good. I barely want to do this shit right here. I mean, this shit looks like 16th to 18th, and then we're back
NYC,
4 days later.
And then wait till you see where we stand out.
Like I said, I ain't gonna be at this damn show. Shaking hands. I'm gonna be fucking chasing chicks in NYC.
It's gonna be a grind. I mean, it's gonna be the Burbank's more of a grind. NYC is more of a, like there's gonna be people there that we're friendly with, and so it'll be more trying to meet up with them. I think.
Yeah.
Same with Burbank. Right. There's gonna be people there that we're friendly with, but it's gonna be less about that than anything.
And Tim, you're invited. Tim, you're invited to set up with us. If you bring a cabinet or bring some cards and try to slang them if you're in town.
For Burbank, yeah.
For Burbank, yeah.
I'm down for that.
Definitely set up all 3 days if you want. So build some inventory so that, because I'm sure it'll sell. Well, you can sell to one of these repackers if you want. So definitely bring your shit, and Tim will hopefully be set up there with us. And so come on out to Burbank, and then come on out.
Autographs.
There we go. And come ask Tim about his propensity to land hot Ukrainian women. So I know everybody's eager for that.
Maybe I'll bring her.
There we go. Maybe we'll bring her. Exactly. We bring her on the show too. I think we need to
bring her around us.
I'm still down for that. Yeah,
we might pull a Tim around her.
I'm respectable.
Oh,
I'm respectable. Okay. Yeah,
and me too.
I had an interesting moment at the Pearl Jam concert that I won't get into, but I was respectful. I was respectful. Let's get into the questions. Purple Haze says Flip Flop Air Force about to fly. Goddamn right. We're gonna have some signed flip flops from Christine, who I think couldn't get her phone working or something, and I'm gonna order some flip flops off Temu and get her to sign those probably within the coming weeks. RIP Golden Marketplace auction is also not accepting new orders. RIP. I don't know. I mean, he just got bought by eBay. His TV show's coming out in a few weeks. I think it's just a transition into what will this website be? What will this mark? I'm sure he's always going to have an elite auction and some of the big stuff, but how will...
Hey, if Sports Card Radio gets bought out, guys, expect some changes. Okay, same thing with Golden, right?
Yeah.
Yes, please buy us out.
Yeah, no shit, exactly. So I think stay tuned with the integration between PSA Golden and eBay. Sports Grizzler Adam says Sports Card Radio best part of the week. Hey, we try, baby. Big Max says the stolen memory lane cards were recovered. That's right. You remember that there was like, oh man, it was like $2 million worth of cards shipped to a Best Western in the middle of fucking Ohio. Speaking of Cleveland, and it came up missing. And it turns out, now I don't know the story fully because I only briefly saw it, but apparently there was like a former employee of the Best Western who, I don't know, ended up with it. And then I think he tried to off it all for like $4,000. It was $2 million worth of shit, and he offed it for like $4,000. It was like, bro, you could have went to some repackers and probably got a little more than that. So he got lowballed and took it in the chin. Philly Joe with the $20. We got a little bit of rebate for the Pendry. Philly Joe in the house. You're invited to the Pendry. You're invited to the Burbank Sports Card Show. He says, let's go AIH. If you're joining us late, we had AIH Sports at the beginning of the show explain a situation with Prizm Gawd and a stolen or quote lost Michael Jordan card. Want to check that out. So thanks to Philly Joe. He and AIH Sports are invited to the Pendry and invited to the Burbank show. William Dunlap with the $2. Long-time listener there. I think that's Jay says, Smoke 420, watch the playoffs, hear Sports Card Radio, talk shit while eating Dominoes. You can't beat it.
Sounds good.
Sounds good, right?
I'm on a diet, so that sounds great.
Our boy, the real Dave Snyder, says, Tim, do you like error cards? So, Tim, do you like error cards?
I said I only like the C-3PO boner card from Star Wars.
The boner card in reference to male genitalia or something else?
Yep. It's
Oh, wow.
air print Star Wars from like, I don't know what year, 70s or something like that.
Wow.
But there's a regular print where it doesn't have a boner. You can look it up. Look it up right now.
What do I put? Like Star Wars boner card?
C-3PO boner card.
What's going to pop? Oh, there. Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. That's hard to miss.
Look at the non-error. Does it have the extended?
Good.
It's like a
Good
mini pad.
Look.
Good Lord. Boys over here packing some heat over here.
Oh yeah, that's my boy.
That's more than heat.
It's that
So, yeah,
golden heater.
He's got. He's working with some
That
merchandise
is golden
over
right there. You could sell that
That's
on
golden
Golden
heat.
Marketplace, and it would go for a
So
lot.
Tim
probably.
does, yeah. Tim does like air cards of Mr. C-3PO and that large member that he's got there. Dave Snyder is back. The real Dave Snyder. He says, Tim, are you going to the Dallas Card Show?
Nah, I think I put my
you're good?
response at the next thing.
Okay. So no go on that. It looks like maybe the next one is in July. Woo, it'll be humid out there, baby. Over the 4th. That's
the next comment that starred.
I see. That's a tough one.
I've
never made that exactly. If Dallas wants us to show up, send the check. July 4th.
Yeah.
Man,
I'll go if they pay me to go. Sure, I'll fucking be there.
Goddamn right. David Snyder is back with $4.99. He's asking, is Santiago Sports, I presume, and Jeff Wilson, are they friends? I don't know. Actually, wait a minute. Wait. Whoa. What am I talking about? I have insight into this because we interviewed Santiago Sports and he shit talked Jeff Wilson. And I think that was the one thing Santiago complimented us on. He said, yeah, I kind of like how you go after Jeff Wilson. So I can't imagine after hearing that, if Jeff watched the interview, that he would be friendly with Santiago, but I don't know. Maybe they squash the beef. I know there's that influencer game at the, what's it called? The Culture Collision Trading Card Show. Here's some highlights of it. There's Santiago right there, number 31. So perhaps maybe they'll get on the basketball court and squash the beef. Drama Queen City Cards with the $2. This is Christine. Got to slide into our boy Queen City Cards DMs. I think you guys are close. He says, my twin bros and family. Good to be at another show. We appreciate you. Baseball Card Curmudgeon says, Fanatics suing Marvin Harrison Jr. should be your next topic. There's a 15-minute YouTube video about it, which showcased Pat McAfee commentary available. Yeah, I think I actually mentioned this on one of these shows a few weeks ago. Very much in passing, I said, hey, Marvin Harrison hasn't signed his PA deal. I think I saw a tweet from like Adam Schefter or whatever. What that means is Marvin Harrison Jr. can't be in video games, can't be on trading cards, and I think I'm missing something too that he can't be involved with. Jerseys, thank you. And Fanatics is suing him. There's currently a lawsuit. I think if you just Google it, like Fanatics and Marvin Harrison Jr., and something will come up to where Fanatics is suing Marvin Harrison for breach of contract because they believe they had a 7-figure contract with the guy for jerseys and trading cards and whatnot. And they're saying that Marvin Harrison used the Fanatics contract as leverage, maybe to get a big deal with Panini or somebody else. And so that'll be interesting to take a look at because if Marvin Harrison wins that lawsuit, there might be some players who will follow suit in the future. So it'll be interesting to see what happens if Fanatics prevails there and they can kind of strong arm Marvin Harrison and say, hey, you've got to deal with us. That'll be kind of a win for Fanatics. So very interesting things. I think we've seen things similar in the hobby, but maybe not with Fanatics. So that'll be very interesting. I remember for years, Barry Bonds wasn't a part of the Players Association, so he didn't have cards and some of those things.
Michael Jordan was not in
Jordan
video game,
very, very,
so
very
not. Yeah, this is not actually, and I think the lawsuit stems from a contract that he had over at Ohio State. And so this is a dispute that I don't think really relates to the NFL or anything like that. It's just that Harrison, for whatever reason, feels like he got burned by Fanatics when he was at Ohio State. And so this is carrying over to the NFL. But again, there is precedent, usually not, and Marvin Harrison might end up being maybe the best wide receiver in the NFL in a couple of years. And he might end up being one of the great ones. I don't know. But we've seen this happen. This has been done before. You've had players like Barry Bonds, usually it's a player of that caliber, Michael Jordan, not be part of the Players Association because their brand is so big that they don't need to be in the Players Association, and they can separate themselves from that and make even more money for themselves instead of the other 500 athletes in the league. So yeah, we'll see what ends up happening here. My guess is the contract that he signed when he was at Ohio State was pretty cut and dry. It was probably pretty cut and dry. And there's probably proof on both ends whether somebody breached the contract there or not. And so I think this will get settled at some point. Who wins, who loses, I don't know. But this is probably, going forward with the NIL stuff, that complicates things in a major way for Fanatics. Before that, it wasn't that hard to get these athletes. Now it's like
the money.
Yeah, they needed the money. And now it's like, man, you got this NIL stuff that just opens up the door that you've got to start paying these guys 4 years earlier. So it's tough. It's a business, and I don't blame Marvin Harrison for doing what he's got to do to secure his business. So, in fact, I applaud him.
I do too. David Snyder, he's invited to the Pedri.
Let's go,
in Burbank.
Let's go.
He says he's with the 99. Once Fanatics goes public, will the shareholder pressure make the hobby worse? Has there been an example of the hobby type industry gone public? Topps was public for a while. PSA was public for a while. So we got those numbers and you got insight into their business a little bit. What do you think, Colin? You're the stock guy. What do you think about this?
Can make it worse because what it'll make them do is, instead of having long-term vision, you've got the next quarter that you have to perform. And so the expectations from Wall Street, not just the next quarter, but really the next 2 or 3 quarters, or more or less set in stone. Think about it like an athlete. Like, we have expectations of an athlete, either for the next game or for the next season. And if that athlete doesn't meet those expectations in that game or during that season, well, what happens? Their cards go down, interest in that player goes down, opinion of that player goes down. Same thing happens in the stock market. If you start missing your quarterly expectations, but somehow you paint a long-term story, very few stocks can do that. Elon Musk has successfully been able to do that. Amazon did it for like 2 decades. There's been maybe a handful of other stocks out there that could paint a story like, hey, don't worry about next quarter. Don't worry about next year. It's all about 5 or 10 years from now. Now, if Fanatics is able to pull that off, then it can be a lovely thing going public, because you can use the public money. You can give stock-based compensation to your employees and just string it out like Amazon did for 10, 15, 20 years and say, hey, we're not going to be profitable for 20 years. Amazon's now wildly profitable. Okay, not just on their computer business, but also their e-commerce business. Really took Jeff Bezos exiting that company for them really to become more efficient from a profit perspective. But they strung out investors for a long period of time. Elon Musk did it very famously at Tesla as well. He very much, said, hey, we're not going to make any money on these electric cars until we make a mass Model 3 and Model Y. And he was able to successfully raise billions and billions of dollars on that promise. And now he's executing. He is delivering. Tesla is profitable. They do make a lot of money. They have cash in the bank. They don't have any problems really from a financial perspective, despite what you see in the media. So if Fanatics is able to successfully tell investors, hey, Topps is a 5-year vision for us. and we're going to market it. We're going to do Fanatics Fest. We're going to pour all this money in the hobby. We're not going to make a lot of money, but we're going to grow it and we're going to become this big brand. Well, that'd be great. But chances are it's going to be a difficult dance for them to play, because Wall Street's going to hit them right on the head and say, I don't care if you own Topps. I don't care about this Fanatics Fest. I'm going to value you like Under Armour, or I'm going to value you like another licensed business out there. There might be another one that's public. There's not many actually that rely on league licenses and that are public companies. Usually you have your own proprietary product, like an Apple or a Google search engine, or like an Amazon or your Tesla, and you have something very proprietary towards you. The only thing proprietary that Fanatics owns is the Topps brand, but that relies on proprietary licenses that are owned by the leagues. So we'll see if they're able to play that dance. My guess is Wall Street is not going to want to give them a huge multiple, at least in the long term. In the short term, you can get any multiple you want on Wall Street. But my guess is Wall Street's going to have a very short leash for this type of business. That's why I want to go to Fanatics Fest now, and maybe not in a few years when they're running it much more leanly and tighten it up. Right now, it's like a white party. Okay.
It's like
the hobby's like a white party.
The money.
Okay. Not the stuff that Diddy's doing in the back, or Michael Rubin, or whoever's doing in the back. But hey, I've seen pictures of the white party. Okay. There's ass at the white party. Okay. There's stuff to look at. Okay. In a couple years, I don't know. There's his daughter right there. And
oh, wow.
Fine young
men. Gotta check the ID on that one.
Yeah, party? You do. Diddy. I mean, right now the hobby is going to be like a white party, a Diddy party. Okay. And I'm not saying you got to have the CPO3 boner and go to these things, but look, Ryan, if you got invited to the white party, would you go?
No question. Yeah, I mean, come on.
Okay, thank you.
What are we even talking about?
Jim, if you got invited to the white party, especially if there was like a PJ or something involved, would you go?
Fuck yeah.
Okay.
What are we talking about?
Okay.
Come on.
Same thing with Fanatics. Right there. Same thing with Fanatics. Yeah, there he is. I'm a little concerned he shows up at these things, but it's okay. Win a Super Bowl and I'll forgive you. But until you win a Super Bowl, I mean, I like you, but I don't love you. So, I mean, here we go. Fanatics Fest is going to be a party until they go public, and then it's going to be all about squeezing profits and all those types of things. So until then, enjoy the party. Enjoy the party. But once they go public, it'll be like Diddy getting found out. That's when the party will end. So
yeah, that'll be fun for us.
Enjoy it. Enjoy it now.
Drama Queen City Cards with the $2 says, where the F are our t-shirts? Hey, I know you have an update on merch.
Not t-shirts. I only want to. I don't want to tease it yet because I'm not done with them, and I do want to just kind of launch it. I did tease it right in the beginning of the video, and maybe at the end I'll show it. I don't really want to talk about it until it's fully out, and fully up there. There will be t-shirts for the events in August. It is now May. I have somebody that will make the t-shirts. I do not have quad XLs in stock yet. There will be t-shirts for the 3 events. I don't know if is the National in August, or is that
can I make merch for Burbank?
Yeah, we're gonna have merch for. I think we should have merch for all 3 of these events that are coming. National, Javits Center, Burbank. We
should make merch. Like Mistake on the Lake is probably proprietary, but we should make like a shirt making fun of Cleveland.
Something,
I feel like
something. Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
maybe people can spread it around.
I just haven't. Yeah, we need something, and it needs to be good. And by good, I mean like Rolex quality, not like Rolex panache or brand, but it needs to be of that quality. Louis Vuitton, Rolex. You think quality, design, everything when you think of those brands, and I want that for Sports Card Radio when it's the merch. I don't want it just to be a t-shirt with Sports Card Radio on it.
There we go.
So that's coming. It's May. These events are in August. I have time.
Yeah,
we got time. Christine with the $2 says, StreamYard kicked me out and you blocked me. I don't know if we block. We'd never do that to you, Christine. I just think the connection was bad today. And you know what? send me your address. If you're still watching, send me your address again, because I'm sending you, speaking of high quality, I'm sending you some Temu flip-flops to sign, and then I'm going to have them try to send Jeff's book to you as well to sign. So we'll have some Christine merchandise.
Listen, I had to get
Very,
harsh
very
with
soon.
Christine today. Maybe not
What
harsh,
happened?
but I was
What
straight.
happened?
So I told,
Okay, you're
because
straight up.
he kept disconnecting, and
Mhm.
usually it's like low quality, or there's like a loop, or so I told her she needs to figure out like the etiquette and the thing, like the Dummies guide to live streaming, basically.
Okay.
And so if she wants to be a regular, which the community does want, she needs to clean it up a little bit.
Okay, we'll
Including,
work on
like,
that
her
with her. I'll clean
internet
it up.
connection.
We'll get her clean. We'll get her cleaned up. We'll get her cleaned up.
We'll get
Christine,
those
it'll be
flip-flops,
all
and
good.
that'll be cleaned up.
Yeah, there'll be a check involved too. So
Drama Queen City Cards is now on the list at the Pendry. He says, I doubt it'll make it through the year with this market. My sales down 35%. All I have are bottom dweller and Hail Mary bidders. PPL getting shit. People getting shit half comps. Scary. We saw with this situation with the backyard guy. Maybe this is the beginning of the unraveling. I don't know. I think at some point it's the customers who have to turn their nose up at this repack shit, at this Jabs family shit. There's these $500 bricks that you can buy in some rando's case at a card show. People are still infatuated with that stuff. And then when you go online to these things, I mean, again, I documented how this $500,000 break was rigged. And nobody in this hobby who's connected to Backyard Breaks or is buddies with this guy Nubs is going to want to admit it. They can watch this and know it's rigged. Everybody can watch this and know it's fucking rigged. But nobody's going to do anything. And if that tide ever turns, if the market even slips, I think just a little bit, then you might see some things. But until that time, repackers still one of the top dogs in the industry. Jay Worldly 13, he says, shout out Tim for laying it down straight in the chat. That's right. He's a very valuable member of Sports Card Radio. That's why he has 4.2% equity. And when we sell the company for $20 million plus, that's 4.4% of 20 million. That's pretty good change. Sports World Card Shop with a 49. 99, baby. You are invited to the Pendry. Sports World Card Shop. You are invited to the Pendry. We might have to rent out a whole floor here pretty soon.
Might have to,
because we've got a bunch of friends coming. So NYC is going to be popping. And then, of course, you guys are invited to Burbank, where we will be set up, have our own table. So please come by. Maybe we'll just crank up the live stream at the show. That'd be kind of fun. We'll have to check on the
internet's good enough. Yeah, let's do it.
Might as well. Let's just fire it up at the show. So look forward to that. William Dunlap, I'm interested to hear your take on Backyard Breaks and the repacks they do. It's crazy the money they pull in each day across multiple platforms. And I mean, we've got to talk about it. It is crazy when you do actually watch it and you do add it up. A lot of times, yes, these guys are sitting there and they're not selling anything. But then once it starts to sell, some of these repack products are $1,000 each, $500 each to get into. These nebs and these kryptonites and all the stupid shit they sell. It's expensive stuff and it adds up quick. And if you're able to rig some of it, certainly there's money to be made. And according to the former employee, they have hundreds of employees. He had a positive experience working there. And this is a full-blown train steaming down the tracks. And they've built up a network of dealers who not only sell to them, but will also be quick to defend them. Then these dealers will hire lawyers, and then these lawyers will fucking get in my messages and say, no, you should be proud of what Jeff did, that he blew the whistle and saved Backyard Breaks. Like, guys, I don't give a fuck if Backyard Breaks lost some fucking money. Sports World Card Shop, who was invited to the Pendry, he says they don't care as long as they are breaking on Fanatics Live and they are getting their 10%. That's a great point. Great point. So yeah, Fanatics Live may let these guys break all they want because, hey, they're getting 10%.
And that'll prop up the secondary market, and the secondary market propped up probably benefits unopened tops
Fanatics.
products. So it's just
Mhm.
it's just a revolving circle. So it wouldn't surprise me if it just continues.
I love it. Queen City Cards with the $5. If this lawyer is watching, he can suck our collective dicks. Absolute moron. I dare him. I dare you. I bet, this guy who was in my DMs all day yesterday and who I will be covering extensively on our website because
ridiculous photo.
This was one of me. I actually wanted him to choose. I said, which photo do you want me to use for your thumbnail? Because he had about 3 or 4 unflattering ones where he just looks like a fucking total dick.
Well,
so he's got more coming from me. Trust me, I'm not done with this guy, but it'll be more on our website because I know that's where it'll hurt him the most and potentially lose him clients. South B Moore, Jabs is live now selling $1,000 repacks. We're in the wrong business.
Oh, must be.
We are in the wrong motherfucking shit. Because we should be over here. Oh, damn it. I was going to leave a chat, but you got to be a member? What?
Aren't you a member? Thought you were a member.
I'm on Patreon, but not on YouTube. Dude, this grift, dude, we need to grift. We need to grift way more.
I know. Well, we already stand at the Pendry, so I mean, if I see Jabs at the Pendry, then maybe we need a grift. But I don't see any of these guys there.
Kenny B wants to know if our boy De Jesus is wearing a Rolex. Is that a Rolex?
That's not a Rolex. No, that is not a Rolex. That's like a fake big watch. That's not even. I mean, maybe I'm unfamiliar with a lot of the luxury brands. That doesn't look like a Rolex, AP, or Patek. And maybe he's into like the really obscure stuff, but to me, that looks just like a cheap big watch.
This looks cheap,
which a lot of these guys wear. And I'm not hating. Not hating. If that's what you want to wear, if that's what you like, if that's your style. Some guys like him with the tattoos, looks like maybe kind of a stronger guy. That style looks okay. But if I put on that watch, oh my God, I would look like a clown.
You look in white. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jab, stay classy with the 1K lives tonight. Lootbox TV. I think maybe we're trying to get him on the show, but he says maybe someday. So that'd be fun.
Okay, yeah. I saw him in chat, so I invited him on, and sent him the link, but he said maybe one day.
Rhonda, our girl Rhonda, says sports card radio equals content. Hey, we try either drama or content. That's the realm we're trying to fit.
Hey, Ryan, would you say Rhonda is invited up to the Pendry?
She got a standing invitation. She's invited to Bel Air for all I care.
There we go.
Rhonda can come on down anytime. J World A13, we need a sports card radio Netflix series. I actually want to make a reality series featuring people in the sports card world. That's kind of my ultimate dream. But Tim, I think, would have to be in it with all his propensity to land hot Ukrainian women. So he would be one of the subjects. I'd need about like a half dozen people.
No, I'd just be a producer still. I'll just be a producer.
You want to be a producer? That's what I want. I don't want to be in it either. I just want to be a producer. So getting people to actually put their lives on camera would be a little tricky.
I mean, I would be down, but
maybe if the money's right. If it's Netflix money, shit, I'd fucking
Netflix money. I am down.
Yo, I'd be in that motherfucker too. Steve says I bought 6 Bowman jumbos. Those might have been expensive. I was short 2 autographs, and the best card I pulled is almost $100 card. Same sold on eBay for 90. Well, that's what's happening now. Is these products have been watered down. They jacked up the price. And 6 Bowman jumbos, I don't know what that costs, $400 a box. So you're probably in for like 2 racks, and you got 2 autos short, and the best card was $100. It's not surprising. I mean, Bowman's always been a kind of a rough rip because a lot of these guys are 18, 19-year-old boys, and they haven't done shit yet. And unless you hit the flavor of the month, it's going to be hard to get your money back. Now, maybe you come back 6 months, a year, 2 years from now, which is a long time to wait, and some of those cards have, quote, appreciated. But that's a long time to wait. Yeah, Bowman's in my opinion, tough to like, unless you're getting the flavor of the month, and I don't even know who that is right now. Very, very tough to make your money back. And saying that only 2 out of 750 cards bought on Whatnot in the last 60 days.
Oh yeah, I asked chat. I said how many people have bought cards on Whatnot in the last 60 days, and only 2 people responded saying that they
only
did.
2 people respond. That's kind of interesting. I think it has its niche audience, and I think it's a different audience than somebody who would listen to this type of show. A lot of people who and I'm not pandering, I think a lot of people who listen to this show probably are smarter. They are aware of the scams. They're aware of where to get stuff less expensive than sitting on Whatnot and trying to bid on it. So it wouldn't shock me if, a majority of our audience has not. Now, if you go poll the audience on Jab's Family, it might be more like 50-50. Or if you go to somebody else's audience, they may be more willing to spend on Whatnot because they get shoved $500 repacks.
One of the guys that said they sold or bought on there said they bought lower end cards. So
there you go. That's on there all day. Yeah, I'm not actually against buying on Whatnot. I just think it takes a lot of time. I'd rather on my own time. I with Whatnot, you have to be on there when the guy's on there, and you kind of have to be paying attention and maybe buy multiple things. So it's a little. But if I had more time, I'd probably be on Whatnot too, buying shit. Lootbox says they are 3 teams away as you speak from filling a break on TikTok of Sparks for $160 a spot. There are 60 total, so $9,600 to fill a break, to fill a repack. So there's 10 grand right there. So you see why these repackers have to go out to these shows and to these dealers and spend upwards of $100,000 a month with each one of them. You need multiple dealers funneling this business. If you're able to just go on TikTok and, sell $10,000 worth of Nebulas, Kryptonites, or Sparks. So it's the gambling strong. I mean, I see it every time I go to Vegas. I'm like, man, people just fire money like it ain't nothing. I don't have that gambling streak in me, but to each their own. Stinky Bradley says Burbank's cases have been really empty, repackers clearing them out, and they can't keep up with the inventory. Yeah, that's what Rob told me about, that sometimes these motherfuckers come in with, big old 3 shoe boxes and just fill up inventory and just buy it at full price because they got $10,000 worth of spots per night. This may be not the only break they're filling. I mean, maybe they fill 5 breaks in a night and it's $50,000 a night.
I told him the philosophy there is that if they're paying the marked price, then he has no problem selling. So, of course, why would you?
Yeah. So Burbank, good thing he has all those low end cards that he sells 3,000 of a day. Because if he ever slows down on the good shit, hey, he's still got 40 million cards that are going to run out every day. Phoenix Rising 2430 says PSA Golden and eBay is like Tim and a married couple. Exactly. It's kind of like everybody's kind of looking around and making sure everybody's cool before something really happens. I can't speak for that, Tim, but maybe that's what it's like.
Yeah.
Neo Cards and Comics says Whitman's around the corner from that hotel is a good lunch spot. Whitman's maybe in NYC.
Yeah, probably.
Let's go, baby. Let's fucking
There's
go.
Gotta be a lot of good food around there. I was reading the reviews and they were like, man, this area of New York, I'm not familiar with New York at all, but people were like, yeah, this is the place to be. And I just wanted to be like walking distance from the thing. I wanted to be able to walk down. I don't know if I'm assuming there's like re-entry, but I just wanted to be able to walk to the thing. I don't want to get on this. God only knows I don't want to get on the subway. And if you were Ubering back and forth, I mean, that's going to run up. That's going to cost you. So you might as well pay more for your room just to be able to walk over there. And there was a hotel closer, but I read the reviews. It wasn't as nice. That looks good.
This looks dangerous. Yeah, this looks very good.
That's my next thing is like kind of line up all the food. Line up all the spots that I want to try.
Do you guys know Neo?
I know his videos for sure.
Yeah, I know his videos. I've seen his videos.
Making sure.
I don't know him personally though.
Yeah.
He's invited to the Pendry and to Whitman's.
He's paying though. He's paying.
Brian Gray's paying. I thought Brian Gray's paying.
Yeah, he is too. I ain't paying for shit when I'm there. Except Louis. I'll probably buy something from Louis when I'm there. Okay. So
Jason from Attleboro, he's invited to the Pendry. He says Colin, Tim, and Ryan are the top 3
Thank you.
Damn.
Thank you.
Top 3 now.
I asked chat who their top 3 goats were.
And then we got this the meme god, this _ cardboard life on Instagram. Gretzky, Jordan, Ruth, and Tim.
That's it.
And he's not talking about Tim Lincecum. He's talking about super producer Tim. So I'm going to have to agree with that. Gretzky, Jordan, Ruth, and Tim. They're on the
Got him
Mount Rushmore.
4.2 of Sports Car Radio. That's something right there, baby.
Goddamn right. Title City Sports, aka Mike with the $5 says, "Hey Colin, know a guy in NYC. His name is Stewie. He will hook you up. He might even clean your bags for you." So here we go. We might have bag check right here, baby.
All right. I'm ready. I need it. I'm not lying. Like I'm honestly being truthful. I think I fly in. I think it's JFK. I'll have to check the airport. I'm there at like 6 a.m. and I'll be off a red eye. I probably can't check into this joint. I mean, I'll probably go over there and maybe try to check in. Maybe they'll check me in early. I don't mind paying if it's cost me a couple $100, whatever. But if they can't check me in, I'm roaming the streets of New York City.
It's possible I might be there already, and because I might get into some things early. So
okay.
So I'll have a room.
But I'm dead serious. I ain't checking. I can't bellhop. You can't bellhop Louis luggage. You just can't. I mean, maybe in NYC you can, but I don't like to let that shit out of my sight. Until I, it's in a hotel room.
I hear you. David Snyder, the real David Snyder, says, "Can we buy shirts if we can't make the events?" I think they're going to be. Yes, you will. We're definitely going to have a drop where you can buy them. I think they're going to be limited.
Limited. There's not going to
be.
We
will give you guys. We'll tell you guys they're going to go on sale at Thursday at. Whatever,
I probably will just auction several of them off on eBay to the highest bidder. Also,
there we go.
So it's like whatever you want to pay.
On Discord, I said Discord exclusive. I'm not.
Maybe we'll do a couple of different drops. Couple of like a drop here, drop here, drop here, but it'll be limited. So you're gonna have to move pretty quick.
I love it. Jason from Attleboro, Tim standing on business. Just damn right.
Hey, get that 4.2, baby.
Hey, that's big business. JQM78 with a 999 says, "Why do y'all simps pay 5, 6, 7 figures for modern rookies they hope will become Michael Jordan? But when a rare Michael Jordan Pop 3 PSA 9 rookie almost sells for $1 million, it's surprising." So yes, apparently there was a private set. Now it was a private sale with our boy Jesse Craig. We didn't get into that because
oh God.
One, I don't want to promote Jesse Craig and his new business because he's a former PWCC employee, but it was reported that a star Michael Jordan rookie card in PSA 9 condition, which is very rare, sold for, I think, close to $1 million, which was like quite a bit more than the high price on that card. And I think there was kind of talk about, I think even Jeff maybe had it. Did Jeff do something on it? Let's look at Jeff's, because I think Jeff has a PSA 8 one that he paid $100,000 for. Now he's probably excited because maybe it makes the one that he had go up in value, right?
Like the one good investment he's ever made.
Yeah, I think there was a little bit of a disconnect. Like the star Michael Jordan in good condition is always sold for more than the Fleer. I think people were like shocked that it sold for, well, it's the PSA 9 Michael Jordan star is a rare fucking card and has always sold for quite a bit. So whether this makes, more Jordan cards go up, I'm never shocked at if something Michael Jordan that's rare sells for a lot of money. So hopefully the hobby isn't either, because and you might be able to look back 5 years from now and that's a cheap price to pay for something Michael Jordan. So yeah, I'm definitely not shocked at all. I think it's a good thing. Again, it was a private sale from a former PWCC employee, Jesse, aka Salt of the Earth Craig. And maybe we can get into that maybe on a future show. We could talk about that a little bit more.
There's like the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon or whatever, like how you can connect everything back to Kevin Bacon. Like you can we're that in this. Well, no. I think we're that.
Oh, we're that. Oh, wow.
You bring up Jesse Craig and we have a connection with Jesse Craig. You bring up Prizm Gawd and we have a connection with Prizm Gawd. You bring up anybody in the
love how our video shows up.
Yeah, right. I mean, this is what I'm saying. You search these guys' name in Google and our shit shows up. So, I mean, this is why, this is why we make the big bucks. So,
Yeah,
I don't know. Let's do not get stuck on Jesse Craig and keep it.
No, we won't. Well, if it's still a story next week, we'll get into it. But hey, that's all I had for tonight. I don't know if you got anything else.
No, I'm gonna jump on the Peloton and then get to work, and then it's 3-day weekend. So
everybody's still remaining in the chat. You are invited to the Pendry. You are invited to the Burbank Sports Card Show. Plan your fucking trip. Brian Gray's paying for dinner, so let's get a fucking 50 table spread at some expensive New York restaurant and make him pay for it.
Damn right.
And yeah, I didn't win these. How much did these Ryan Leaf jerseys sold for? $20 each. These were like at $50 when I looked at them today.
It's a lot.
I shouldn't have said shit. I would have got them for $5.
Coming to a Nebula pack near you.
No shit, right?
Game used Nebula or whatever.
Sparks.
Oh, excuse me. Sparks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Speaking of Sparks, I'm gonna go see our girl Christian Brink. I think it's not till next week. I think next Sunday.
Hey, and stories checking out on Caitlin Clark too. So we'll talk about that next time probably. Folks, we're 3 hours in. 8:30 out here on the West Coast, 11:30 on the Eastern time. Thank you all for tuning in today and all your support. And we will be back some other time. I'm sure by then Tim will have weaseled his way into 2 or 3 more marriages, and maybe he'll be in Ukraine fighting a war. Maybe that's on he'll be on the front lines of Ukraine.
He'll be doing that inscription, baby. Keep pounding.
I know who I'm rescuing for sure.
Well, I mean, I won't get into that story. Thank you all for tuning in. We will be repacked and join you again next week. But until then, we're out of here.
What's going on with that PPP? You done a lot of talking, not a lot to see. Up in the millions like 2.3, but you all got it all getting off scot-free. Try to talk tips like we're talking about stock, but you're talking about men printed on card stock. When you open your mouth, I take it with a grain of salt. Cause the market's down and you're down, it's all your fault. I love it. Bullshit, Jeff Wilson. You ruin the hobby I love. Get your bullshit, Jeff Wilson. Did you dip me out? I think you dipped you out. What you talking about? I don't think you did, Jill. It's just a shake shit like a GOBs, like it's wholesale thing with the mid-NFTs. Taking money from the people to pay. Most of them are broke, but that's okay. He's getting money, even better tax-free. Loving all stimulus, the PPP. You ruin the hobby I love with your bullshit, Jeff Wilson. You ruin the hobby I love with your bullshit, Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson. What's going on with that PPP? You done a lot of talking, not a lot to see. Up in the millions like 2.3, but you all got it all getting off scot-free. Try to talk tips like we're talking about stock, but you're talking about men printed on card stock. When you open your mouth, I take it with a grain of salt. Cause the market's down and you're down, it's all your fault. You ruin the hobby I love with the bullshit, Jeff Wilson. You ruin the hobby I love with your bullshit, Jeff Wilson. Did what you're talking about. I don't think you did deal. It's just a shake shit like a GOBs, like it's wholesale thing with the mid-NFTs. Taking money from the people to pay most demographic broke, but that's okay. He's getting money even better tax-free, loving all stimulus, the PPP. You ruin the hobby I love with your bullshit, Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson. You ruin the hobby I love with your bullshit, Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson. Jeff Wilson.
Good night,
What's
simps, haters. Peace. Peace.